Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on May the 1st, 2018. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, the soul I sacrificed for an Infinity Stone.
I'm not sure how I feel about this, but I'm Caffeine Rage.
On today's show, we will, of course, be discussing the games that we played this week. 15 arrests were made in connection to PUBG cheaters. Call of Juarez Gunslingers officially returns to Steam. AMD reports they don't see a significant risk of secondhand GPUs appearing as crypto demands seem to wane. The Steam Spy creator develops a new algorithm to keep the service alive. EA, Activision, Blizzard, and Valve are found in breach of Belgian gambling laws. Battle Royale is already saturated, according to the State of Decay 2 devs. Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery forces you to pay or wait to save a kid from being strangled to death. Totalbiscuit announces his retirement due to continuing health issues. We'll have our weekly community corner and our Steam weekly discovery queue. Timestamps will be in the show notes following the respective topics. I promise. Unless, did you put them in last week, Rage? Or did you just let it be?
I just let it be because by the time I caught that you didn't put them in, it was already too late for me to even go into the show and start looking for the show for the timestamps.
Sweet.
Because it was just way too late. It's been a kind of a crazy last couple of weeks for my sleep schedule, so I've been doing show notes a lot later than usual.
Right.
And a couple of times I've just immediately after I've done it, immediately posted the show, so the show goes out, 15, 20 minutes earlier than usual.
Yeah.
Sometimes up to an hour or two, but yeah. By the time I caught it, it's thought, oh, this is bad. Well,
yeah, I did bad.
Well, I see you online. I'll go bonk you over the head, hope that you still have your editing notes, and then you're away because you turned on your computer and walked away.
When did you do that?
Well, I said it was
Thursday or was it Friday?
It was Friday. I said hello, and you didn't respond, and you immediately went to away status. So either you were playing Turtle to play more BattleTech, or you turned on your computer and walked away. I'm leaning towards the second because I didn't see you go onto into a game.
Yeah, no, it was Friday was the one day in the last 7 days that I didn't max BattleTech time, but that was because I actually had to do things on Friday, so I probably left my computer on from Thursday night. Just forgot to turn it off.
I saw you go online. We were offline before.
Oh. Then I don't know why I turned my computer on and then just left it. Oh, you know what? I know what I was doing. So my mom recently got, my parents recently got a 4K TV and a 4K Blu-ray player. And so they were like, hey, do you want all of these DVDs that we have, all of our old DVDs and normal non-4K Blu-rays? And I was like, yes, I do. And what I've been doing is ripping all of them to my digital collection and putting them in a box. And then I'm going to take the box to McKay's, which I think I've mentioned before. It's like a local media store that takes secondhand stuff and gives you either store credit or cash for them. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take them all to McKay's when I'm done. And my computer is the only one that has a Blu-ray drive. So that's the only one that I can rip the Blu-rays from. And I'm only halfway done. I must have ripped 150 movies at this point. My parents had a huge collection of movies, apparently. But yeah, I ripped all the Blu-rays from my computer. And I did that Friday because I couldn't be playing BattleTech. So I turned my computer on and I was ripping movies. And I must have just not seen your message.
Yeah, I tried because it was already too late for me to even attempt it. I figure it was probably best to get the show out on time without the show note or without the proper timestamps than to go in and delay it for a while.
Yeah.
And also, I don't like editing the show notes after the show's already gone live because it could cause issues.
Right. Well, it'll be all right this one time.
Yeah, just don't make a habit of it.
out of like 100, this will be episode 110. Out of 110 episodes, I've made show note mistakes 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, under half a dozen.
Yeah, so I'm pretty proud of that. I'm gonna give myself just like a half pat on the back. Like,
yeah, not enough to burp you,
mostly
of course.
did it. Yeah.
I just thought it was funny, the week after you're so excited, you're so quick, you don't even do the proper show notes.
Man, I have played BattleTech a lot this week.
Yeah, no-lifed.
This week, like, it picked a really good week to come out because my birthday was yesterday as of, we're recording today on the 1st. My birthday was yesterday, April 30th. And, like, this weekend, my like, big birthday present from Katie was that I didn't have to be a dad on Saturday. She watched King all day. Like, they went to the aquarium and did a bunch of stuff. And so she was like, you don't have to do anything on Saturday. So I played BattleTech for like 18 hours on Saturday. And then Sunday, we went and had dinner with my parents. And we went and saw Avengers Infinity War. But like the rest of the time on Sunday, I was playing BattleTech. And then Monday, the kids stayed at my parents' house Sunday night and Monday night. So Monday there was no kid. And like Katie and I did a bunch of stuff yesterday, but I still got to play BattleTech for like 6 or 7 hours yesterday.
No wonder you're ahead of me on the story.
And then like I didn't like Wednesday, because I only got to play BattleTech for a few hours on Thursday.
If you're playing the drinking game, by the way, every time he says BattleTech, take a drink.
But so Wednesday I played BattleTech as much as I could during the day while my kid was at music class. And then that night, up until Star Wars RPG, I played BattleTech. So, and then Thursday, I like canceled everything I had during the day because my kid was at daycare and Katie's gone on Thursdays to volunteer at that where she volunteers. My brain just suddenly died.
Ranch.
But so at the ranch. So I canceled everything that day and just played BattleTech all morning. So all in all, I've played BattleTech for like 55 hours this last week. I've also not slept a lot. So, yeah. I may have a bit of a problem.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe this was a bad idea.
I tend to go hard on games that I like. Like, if I like a game a lot, it will become like the only game I'm playing. But I typically only play games, I don't know, 20 or 25 hours a week, which, I mean, that could sound like a lot to a lot of people, but like this is my primary hobby. So, I'm not doing other things if I'm not spending time with my family. I mean,
it's the equivalent of watching, yeah, well, depending on the type of movie, somewhere between 10 and 12 movies.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. I mean, that's still like, a lot, but
it's like it's an average of 5 hours a day, which I don't sleep a lot anyways. I'm either blessed or cursed with the ability to function like a normal human being on about 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah, see, I'm a 7-hour person.
So I mean, I'm up regularly until 1 or 2 every morning before I go to bed, and then I get up at 7 or 8.
Wait, that's strange.
Well, normal people go to bed by like midnight usually. But so I've got a few extra hours every day where I'm in here by myself playing video games.
But
yeah, this week I've gotten even less sleep than normal, and I managed to get a couple of days where I didn't have to be an adult. I didn't have to do adulting for a couple of days. So I was like, I'm just going to play BattleTech. But I mean, like today, like things are returning to normal. Like today, I played BattleTech, or I played video games for about 2 hours today total.
I love that now BattleTech is video games to you.
BattleTech is... There are no video games. There's no rest. There is no sleep. There is only BattleTech.
There was a reason why I asked if you were playing something for the podcast. If you played something that you could talk about.
Which I did. I played one other game for the podcast, and it's a game I've played before, so I won't be talking about it very much. But the thing that I am going to talk about is Avengers Infinity War, because I have to share my emotions with people. And the major spoilers, but as soon as I finish this sentence where I say I'm going to put it after the credits, we'll just skip ahead to where we start talking about games. And that's going to happen now. All right, new hard edit. Games we played. Games you played, Rage. What games did you play this week?
Well, unlike you, my channel continued to operate normally, so I played 3 games. And the first one is actually a very interesting one, and I don't use that as the backhanded compliment. Muffled Warfare. You are a blind character who sees through echolocation, and this is a first-person shooter.
Okay.
I would say arena shooter would be the proper definition of this, and this is not going to be a very popular game just because of how odd it is. The trailer for this shows pretty much exactly how this works. As you move and as you shoot, you create sound waves, and it allows you to see the level around you. But if you just stand still, everything just kind of fades away. But also all the enemies do the same. They are blind and see through echolocation. So as they're moving around and as they're shooting, you can see them off in the distance, slowly coming into existence as you're able to essentially home in on them. It's a very, very interesting game. Granted, it's not very popular, so it's multiplayer focused, at least for now. I'm not sure if they're planning on doing a single player campaign on this. The bots are fucking brutal, I might add. That's why I didn't do a Sunday sampler on it. But it's, like I said, it's an interesting title. This company's done a game similar to this for PlayStation VR, where you essentially whistled or hummed and it created the world around you in the same idea. Line art, be able to pick out details be able to pick out better details as they get closer, just because you're able to echolocate a little bit better. Just incredibly fascinating. I would say this would probably be an amazing LAN game. I just didn't play it that much because there was only the bots, and the bots are just brutal because they have really good aim, and I don't think they're cheating because they're all running around and they're being very loud. But there is an element of stealth that you could use in this, because you could just kind of stand back in a corner and watch things go around you. It's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, that does sound like an interesting gameplay mechanic. I don't know if I've seen the echolocation thing be done before.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times, but
but not in a first-person shooter.
Yeah, and just because all the guns are loud, that first volley of gunfire, and I don't think anything is really hit scan. They're all projectiles. They just move very quickly. So, having the echolocation not just where you are as you're shooting, but if you hit something, it reflects that, and you get the little bit of sight there as well. This would be, like I said, an amazing LAN game. Get a bunch of people that don't know what the hell they're doing and play together.
Yeah.
And it does have a bunch of cosmetic unlocks, but the way the system works is every time you die, you have a death bonus, which you're able to choose between one or another, usually ammo for a particular type of gun, which gives you that gun. And there's a few interesting ones. There's smoke grenades, which essentially just muffle the sound. I realize, smoke grenade is more visual, so I'm assuming that they're some sort of oddball smoke to have it work like that. Or to mess with the echolocation. Or there's the decoy gun, which creates a decoy. I'm not sure if it's making sound or not. I never got to use it. What you were saying?
Yeah. I was gonna say, in real life, fog and really thick smoke blocks high-pitched sound waves, higher-pitched sound waves. So only bassier tones come through. So
but gunfire,
they were going for.
Gunfire would be more bassy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, gunfire also is loud enough that it might be dampened by smoke, but you could definitely still hear it.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're going for, because also remember, any sound wave that goes through the fog has to go through it, bounce, and then come back. So maybe that's how they're playing it. But like I said, very, very interesting game. And it's under the $10 range, so it's in your impulse buy range. I'd like to see them do more with it. I'd love to see some sort of single-player campaign, especially since releasing a multiplayer-only title is kind of a losing proposition on Steam.
Yeah, more often than not.
Well, for indie. And hell, even the upper end of indie, it's very tough. But yeah, and you can change the color. By the way, I love features, colors, like 4 of them.
Nice.
But yeah, that's Muffled Warfare. Like I said, very, very strange, interesting. Muffled Warfare, echolocation shooter is what they call it. And that's exactly what it is. So next up was actually a game I was expecting you to play, since I know you got review code for it.
Yeah, I'll get to it.
Train Valley 2. This is a puzzle game, sort of, where you're laying down track and trying to essentially unlock the level, because I have to say that the puzzle element is more trying to do it under the time limit than anything else, because you can just sit there and kind of goof around. I never got to play the original Train Valley, so I'm not sure if that's the case in the original.
No, the original was much more. I mean, the puzzle thing was it. Like, that was the whole deal.
Yeah,
like, you had to get stuff from point A to point B in the time limit without crashing it into other trains on the track.
Yeah, this seems a lot more casual, where you can just kind of sit back and relax, and if you don't get all the stars, oh well. Where you upgrade trains, you buy more trains, you send out trains. I have to say that I'm not a huge fan of the track mechanic. It's not the track, track mechanic on a train game. Yeah, with how they have it lay down the track, because it seems to want to snap to particular angles, and sometimes that's not exactly ideal because of how the level's laid out. Because if there's a incline, you can't really create a turn on it. And because of how the camera is, it's a little difficult to be able to tell sometimes if there's an incline if you're outside of the building mode. There's essentially 3 modes where you're, actually 2 modes where you're building and then you're just sending out trains and working the individual switches, because all the switches are manual, of course. But overall, like I said, it's more of a casual puzzler than anything else. Went through a fair number of levels on it, even though I didn't. Oh, I played it for a couple of hours, where it was in order to really be able to try to 3-star it, because that's how puzzle games are now. It's all 3 stars, right?
Yep.
Fucking mobile, which we'll get to that. In order to do that properly, you're going to have to play the level a couple times, because they do throw a curveball in a few times. On like the 2nd or 3rd level, there's this entire section of the level that's not even used at first. It's like, what the hell is this for? And they don't even tell you what you need for it, so you can't even set up track ahead of time, which is a little irritating. Because in order to... trying to remember exactly what it is. It was... send workers to the grist mill to be able to make grain, or to the farm to make grain. And there was... I can't remember what the other one was. But then you had to get workers from both those, and I should say the product from both those stations to the farm on the opposite side of the map that wasn't even used yet, in order to get cattle to bring it back to town. But it doesn't tell you exactly what you need over there, so you're either wasting a lot of money, which also negates your stars, because you don't, if you spend too much or buy too much, it slows you down, but it also takes away an achievement for that level, which counts against technically it's a 5-star rating, because it's 3 stars for time, then 1 star for usually not crashing, or some other small achievement, and then 1 star for not spending too much. So, you have to play the levels a couple times if you want to, get perfect. But this game doesn't really seem to mind if you don't get all the stars. Not sure if later on it unlocks based on the number of stars total, which if it does, that's a dick move. But I always consider that a dick move. which I know how you love your dick moves. But yeah, it just seems a lot more casual than what a lot of people were saying the original Train Valley was. Which isn't a bad thing, but it's if you're looking for the original Train Valley, this may not be it. And maybe it's just where I'm not too hyped on this one. Maybe just because of that track mechanic where it was wanting to snap to oddball positions just because of the camera. I don't know. This one's a weird one for me. And that's why I didn't really spend much time with it. Any questions? Since I know you're interested in this.
I don't think so. It sounds like they've really
streamlined it.
Turned down.
Streamlined, simplified.
Yeah.
Granted, I never really played the first one, but I will say that there are several significant negative reviews on this one talking about simplification. So, yeah. So the last one I played, which was actually my Sunday sampler, Blossom Tales: The Sleeping King. Elevator pitch for this one. The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, plus The Princess Bride.
Okay. That's an interesting
combination.
Okay,
so this game, I actually really, really like this one. I do have my problems with it because I'm me. But they have an interesting way of handling the story overall. The opening narration is a grandfather telling a story to his grandchildren. And he starts off talking about an elf boy in the land of... And the children cut him off. You already told us that story. Tell us another one. They show their inspiration right off the bat. Elf boy.
Elf boy?
Elf boy.
So you said elf boy?
Elf boy in the land of... And they start to say Hyrule.
That's funny.
It gets more than that, but this is obviously a inspired by Link to the Past in most of its aspects. I mean, just down from the UI to how the camera mostly behaves. But that's not a bad thing, because Link to the Past is considered one of the best games of all time.
Yeah, one of the best Zelda games.
I would say it's up there for most people's lists. I need to go back and play it at some point all the way through. But there's some interesting things that they do with the narration that makes me think a lot of Princess Bride as well. At certain points, the narration cuts in, the grandfather talking to his grandchildren, and they make comments on story tropes. For example, the overall story is you play Lily in the Kingdom of Blossom, and the king's brother, if I recall correctly, puts the king in an enchanted sleep so he could overthrow the kingdom. Like you do.
Right, of course, like I do.
Of course, like you do. But he also needs time to raise his dark army, because obviously you don't have your army assembled beforehand, right?
Absolutely.
Because he was too busy playing BattleTech. So he runs off to go assemble his army, and you are tasked, or you're not really tasked, you kind of sneak off yourself to go do this, to get 3 items to create a potion to wake the sleeping king. Hence the name of the game. Sorry. Quick drink of water. But once you get the first item, you come back and you give it to the king's alchemist or whoever it was. And they say, thank you, the next item is here, blah, 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 blah. And the narration cuts in, and the children are saying, wait, that's it? They're not going to throw our party or anything? Just well done. Now here's your next task. He said, and the other grandchild says, yeah, no, they should have a big party with a giant cake. And then the grandfather comes in, with a sugar-free cake for us old people as well. But no, Lily has other things to do. She doesn't have time for a party right now. She has a quest to complete. Things like that makes me think a lot of The Princess Bride.
Yeah. I need to watch The Princess Bride again. I've never read the book either. I think it's
Yeah,
a little
well,
bit of a
yeah, the book is
non
very,
sequitur.
yeah, the
But
book is very different.
yeah, I've heard.
But it's and there's also other things like at certain points in the game, it's completely cosmetic as far as I can tell. But you'll come up to a mini boss fight, usually outside the dungeon or on the way to the dungeon. And the children start fighting over what Lily is actually fighting. So in the video, I actually had it where they were fighting over the fact that was Lily fighting a pirate queen or a ninja. And train, so we'll stop here for a moment. But okay, so the children are fighting whether they're Lily. She's not a princess; she's just a knight. If she's fighting a pirate queen or a ninja, and then it comes up with a prompt for you to choose which you're fighting. As far as I could tell, completely cosmetic, but it's a nice little touch, you know?
Right.
And I thought it was amusing. Some of my criticisms of the game, they use the Link to the Past system for the camera, but then they put Lily in some very, very, very large rooms where your camera is not able to see the entire room. And typically, that's not that bad, but then occasionally you hit a puzzle element that requires you to look around and explore the room a lot more than you really would have to in A Link to the Past. They didn't really use the limitation of the camera. I think they forgot about the limitation of the camera with some of the puzzle design. Granted, they do throw a lot of variety in the puzzles. There's timing puzzles where you have to avoiding spike balls. There's slide block puzzles. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but you have to essentially draw a line to fill in all the missing blocks without picking up the pin. You know, that type of puzzle.
Yeah.
There's several of those. There's a cryptogram puzzle that you encounter fairly quickly. There's lighting torches with the bow, and this is all within the first few hours. The game's only about 15 hours long, though, which is actually about the length of Link to the Past, but it doesn't have as many dungeons. It has a little bit more filler with side quests, which isn't a bad thing. Some of them are just simple fetch quests. Some of them are more involved, but But overall, my gripes with this game just seem minor in comparison. Actually, like I said, really liked it. Go ahead.
It looks interesting and neat, and I love the idea of marrying Princess Bride to a Zelda-style game. Too bad I just don't really like this type of game.
Yeah, I will say that art-wise, they spent a lot more time on the boss design than the overworld. Because if you compare like the boss that you see in these screenshots, and how detailed it is compared to some of the overworld shots, which are very samey and feel very copy and paste, there's a definite focus on the boss aspect. I mean, it's not an ugly game by any stretch of the imagination, but I would say it's decent, Yeah. And the same really goes for music. Overworld, it's alright. Dungeon music, a lot of long tones, a lot of bassy tones. But boss fights are a lot more intense and have a lot better music, in my opinion. Other oddball criticism is, well, for one, they only use 3 of the 4 face buttons, which is just weird. You have a dedicated sword button, so you're never considered defenseless. But then you're able to swap out the 2 other items that you're using. Which, it's just weird that they use 3 of the 4 instead of all 4. Usually it's either 2 or 4. But the reason why this feels odd is also that there's no item counters. Alright, so pretty much every Legend of Zelda I've ever played, you have to worry about your ammo count, you had to worry about your bomb count, that sort of thing. Yeah. And this is all tied to your magic meter, which is a Link to the Past style magic meter where you use it and then it slowly refills. Actually, I can't recall if it refills in Link to the Past, but yeah, you get what I mean. It's a Link to the style, a Link to the Past style magic meter where you use it, it depletes, and all the non-sword attacks deplete it to some degree. The blocking with the sword treats it as a stamina meter. Throwing a bomb uses a portion of it. Shooting the bow uses a portion of it. And that could lead to some complications in boss fights where you don't run out of ammo, but you're not able to attack because you used all your magic, which is just an oddity. And also, the boss fights tend to drag on, so maybe it's a good thing that you don't have an ammo count. Instead of, the 3 or 4 hits that most of the bosses take in these type of games, or, maybe up to 4 or 5. The golem encounter that you get to see in the screenshots, it took me a good 10 shots to kill it. And whenever you hit it, the screen would flash white. And I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm doing damage to it. Maybe. It's not a really good indicator. And then slowly it started changing colors from white to green, then green to yellow, and then yellow to red. So, I was doing damage to it, but it just drug out. And, it felt a little bit padding-ish. I mean, it's, a fairly minor complaint, all things considered, but, those two kind of play into the 15-hour overall time frame of the game. It's just but those are like my main criticism of it. Just the boss fights are feel a little bit long. It handles weapons a little bit strangely, a little bit odd on the controls in general. The controls are also a little twitchy on throwing bombs. Not that bad, but it takes a little getting used to. But overall, not a bad game to pick up. I would say it definitely on sale. But it's only $15 normally.
Sweet. Yeah, like I said, I love the idea of this. I just don't like these types of games typically.
Is this something are we gonna have to do a Link to the Past for a game club?
We could. I've played A Link to the Past before. It was all right. I recognize that it's a really good game. Just I don't like this style of game. And yes, I have said that before, and we have played games that have changed my view on it. Perhaps it is time for me to revisit it, because it's been years since I've played a top-down game like this.
Well, that's also part of the reason of Game Club is to occasionally push us out of our comfort zone. And then usually I whine about it, especially with Skyrim.
So I would be willing to try, but I haven't liked these types of games in the past. But a game besides BattleTech that I do like, that I played a little bit this week, just so I could talk about something on the show, was No Man's Sky.
Was it because I asked? Or did you...
Legitimately, it was because you asked.
Because I realized, wait a minute. I haven't seen you play anything else. And then I realized, oh no, you're no-lifing this.
Yeah, so like I said, I played BattleTech for 59 hours this last week.
But you can't talk about it yet.
Don't worry, my life is back on more normal track.
Katie hasn't quite filed for divorce yet.
Like I said, it just so happened that its release lined up with the perfect week for me to no-life a game. And it's felt really good. I haven't done that with a single game, in a very, very long time. At least getting married getting married and having a kid, obviously your life changes and you can't just play games as much as you used to could. And this week I played games like I used to did before I was married. And it was really nice. I want to stay married, so I'll go back to being a normal human. But
wait, go back?
It was still nice. Yeah. Anyways, I usually listen to podcasts while I play video games. That's one of the requirements for games that I really enjoy playing, unless it's a game specifically like an RPG that's very heavily story-based. I listen to podcasts while I play games. And I have not been listening to podcasts very much while playing BattleTech for reasons which I can't discuss, because that'll get into Game Club discussion. But beyond just the story stuff. But I was like, I want to listen to podcasts, specifically a podcast relating to Avengers Infinity War, because one of the podcasts that I listened to, which I mentioned when we did our podcast recommendation, Excelsior, had their Infinity
Wait, are you
War,
allowed to say it like that?
Excelsior!
Okay, much
Is that
better.
Anyways, they
Sorry,
had
I just
their,
remember Stan Lee's superhero reality show, which was actually one of the few reality shows I really liked. Did you ever see that?
No.
Oh, he had a. It was on Sci-Fi Channel back when Sci-Fi Channel was Sci-Fi Channel. He had a reality competition show where a bunch of people made up superheroes and competed. And a lot of times it was some sort of the competitions were like a hidden agenda. Like for one, it was who could change into their superhero costume the fastest and get to a specific point. That was the false. That was a false flag. The real test was there was a kid who was crying and looking around. And the point of the competition was see who stopped to help the kid.
Nice.
It was a very interesting show. And like usually the first person or two that was eliminated, they were taken out for a reason. And occasionally they were made the bad guy, which was also hilarious. It was a very scripted show, obviously.
Right.
But I've completely derailed you.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just wanted to play a game where I could chill out, listen to a podcast, do some stuff. So I played No Man's Sky. Their next big update is not out yet. It's not even supposed to come out till later this year. It's just called Next. But there have been some patches and some bug fixes. They've improved the transportation network system. You could have up to 5 destinations saved into your transport or your transporter on your base. But you could occasionally get a bug. Actually, not occasionally. You could frequently get a bug where you would go to save a new place and it would copy over one of your old ones, like an extra one.
Whoops.
So, like, if you went to replace place number 3, for example, place number, or, saved location 3 and 4 would become the new location. So, you had to, like, have some tricks to go about, like, fixing all of that stuff, like, going
to be fair, teleporter technology is, something that you want to have completely buggy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They've made some more tweaks to the planetary flight mechanics. In the last update, Atlas Rises, they made it where you could fly even closer to the ground. But now they've incorporated, I don't know if they've incorporated or copied like some of the better planet atmospheric flight mods, but you pretty much have 100% full control of your ship now. So it's much easier to ram things, as I discovered repeatedly. But that's all right, because you can do like more canyon flying and stuff like that.
Can you bomb Womprats?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They made some other tweaks to stuff. But, I mean, in general, I just spent 2 or 2.5 hours farming on my planet to get some credits, working towards my big freighter so I can have multiple ships and
go mining.
Yeah. Been doing that. In like the normal game mode, every so often your world will refresh, and stuff will respawn, like resources that normally don't respawn, at least on your planet where your base is. And I just happened to be there during one of those points, so like I mined out an entire like gold deposit, took it, sold it, came back, and I was like, wait a second, I just mined that. And I looked up and they're like, oh, they changed the refresh rate so that your world refreshes faster to make it easier to mine resources.
So is it up to 60 hertz?
Your home planet. It's at a glorious 144 hertz.
So faster hertz.
Oh yeah. They fixed most of those performance problems with the first big patch. I will say that No Man's Sky is an even better, well, not screenshot. It's an even better like I'd say like GIF or like
Wallpaper generator.
Yeah, so like some sort of moving active wallpaper at 144 hertz. Because that was what it was always the best at.
I figured it out.
Visuals.
I figured out what this game is. This is a second monitor game. You have it paused, and then occasionally you play it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You are able to pause it, right?
Yeah.
Or
although it would be better to just like stand still.
Yeah, stand still, looking out the window of your base as a sort of an active wallpaper, eating up a lot of system resources in the process.
Yes, it is pretty resource heavy. Excuse me. Better than before, but still pretty resource heavy. They're adding an actual legitimate... Well, they have said that they are adding an actual legitimate single-player story to it. They've added a lot of story stuff anyways, but it's all sort of in service of unlocking everything to build your base and stuff like that. But this is supposed to be an actual story that revolves around the lore that already exists in the game for like the travelers and what are they called? The Arcs and Atlas, not Arc. The Atlas. So I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to that or not. I mean, on the one hand, it would give me a reason to go back and play No Man's Sky even more, like with more purpose. Because now it's just kind of like, I want to listen to podcasts for a while, do some mining, just keep plugging away at that freighter.
Yeah, for me, my podcast game of choice is either Warframe, if I want something more active, or Euro Truck still. Which Euro Truck recently had an event for long hauls to Sweden, actually, for the upcoming map update.
Cool.
But I'm still like 1 or 2 map packs behind. I'm probably going to end up getting Italy in the summer sale, which I'm going to go insane in the summer sale. Boy. I was generating funds for Battletech, and I ended up getting a better deal elsewhere.
Yeah.
So everything I generated is just sitting in my Steam wallet, burning a hole in my pocket. It's like, no, wait for summer.
There you go. Yep.
Summer's coming.
I hope that we have some Battletech DLC or expansion by then.
I would be surprised to see an expansion out before the summer sale.
Yeah. I'd be happy with like some more mechs as DLC, like a $5 DLC and get a few mechs from each weight class.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, but we're on Game Club news again, or Game Club discussion.
Yeah. Maybe.
Game Club is going to be like a 6-hour podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be, because there's a lot of things to discuss from just the gameplay side, because it's a thoroughly in-depth system, but there's also like, how much lore do you want me to talk about? How much explaining do you want me to do? I'm actually putting together like a list of things to help me like stay on topic, because like I've said many times, I could go on for a long time about how giant this universe is. So I'm going to try and keep it reined in as much as possible.
Yeah, but you're in the wrong universe.
Oh, but yep, that's the only game I played this week that I can talk about at any length. So, yep.
That's all you got to say about that?
That's all I've got to say about that.
It does make me wonder, since we had a Spore discussion last week in the community corner, it was last week, where if Spore released today, instead of back when post-release content wasn't as bite-sized as it was just expansion packs, would Spore be remembered as so much of a joke that it is now?
I don't think so. I think Spore would do a lot better if it was released today.
I mean, Spore it was a really good 3D modeling program and some very, very, very basic games.
I mean, to be honest, Spore is much more of a game than a lot of games that are released today.
True.
So if it released today, it would be,
yeah, well,
like, I don't want to say like praised, but people would be like, oh, hey, a real game. Because unless you go to the indie scene, there are very few games that come out that are like, this is feels like a full game and is not just a battle royale mode.
Well, you're skipping ahead in the news topics, but honestly,
the first news topic has to do with battle royale too.
Yeah, true. Battle royale and loot boxes. But to me, sport always felt very, very shallow gameplay wise. Like they took the idea of the very basic idea of 5 games or 5 different genres, and that was about it. They never really expanded upon them. Which maybe that's the problem with sport gameplay wise. Outside of at least one of the life stages that they completely removed, was that they never really fleshed out anything.
Yeah,
and that just required too much time. But since we mentioned battle royale, shall we move on to the news?
Indeed, our first news topic of the week: 15 arrests made in connection to PUBG cheaters.
Yeah, and this isn't just cheaters, but also people that's been using cheats to distribute, hacks, codes, taking over systems, ruining people's lives, that sort of thing. So it's not just cheaters, even though, the cheaters are being targeted here. But I do love the names. 15 major suspects, including OMG, FL, and one of these is Firefox. One of these, I went to Google Translate, by the way. Trying to remember what the others were. One was just, a Chinese name. But it was just amusing to me. Firefox. OMG, FL. Let's see. Suya. That's the third one, and the fourth one, and the fifth one is Yang Ha Ang. So, yeah. There's umlauts, so it's hard to get the proper pronunciation, but yeah, Firefox. Very simplistic names.
Yeah.
But yeah, PUBG is being just absolutely major in China, and actually, Fortnite is releasing in China in the next week or two.
Yeah,
and it makes me
wait. They are?
Yeah.
I thought Fortnite was already in China.
They're officially publishing in China. Remember, China has a thing where games have to be locally published. So typically, Western games have to have essentially a shell company in China to publish through. That's why PUBG has a secondary publisher in China.
Yeah.
So it's not PUBG Corp. It's is that Bluehole, or it's tough for me to really give a damn about PUBG, to be perfectly honest, to really keep it straight. But yeah, Fortnite is officially releasing in China, and so you don't have to do hacks and go-arounds. But it makes me wonder if they're looking at the cheating problem that PUBG has had and is really tightened down things. Because PUBG has had an absolute horrendous time with cheaters, and so it's not a surprise that the cheaters have been distributing malicious code, and they're being targeted by legal action. Granted, this is the major cheaters actually distributing the cheat programs, and also the ones that are using Trojan horses in order to get access to systems for botnets, for various system information, for personal information, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's just. This is more just an absolutely fascinating look at some of the gaming culture from China. And I've realized that makes it sound like all Chinese players are hackers and cheaters. I'm not saying that. It's just that, it's been a major story for how long now?
Yeah.
So it's tough to really split the two. Any thoughts?
I find it fascinating that this is a big enough thing, that PUBG is big enough that other businesses, I don't want to say another industry, that's maybe too strong a word, but other businesses are popping up underneath it to sell cheats to people, or
selling
however you want to word that.
Isn't a new industry. That's been around for ages.
I know, but just like the fact that Multiple companies have appeared.
The PUBG side of the cheat industry.
Yeah, like I know the cheat industry has existed, but like there's enough that they were able to arrest 15 people for it. Like it's bad enough that they've decided to go after these people for, legally and have arrested 15. Like I find that fascinating.
Well, I know when I still played Team Fortress 2, there was a really bad epidemic of cheaters there where they were using dedicated programs. And it was basically a cat and mouse game between VAC and these cheaters, trying to keep one step ahead of being caught. But it was very obvious, for one, the free version of it, because it was a sold cheat, of course, would actually spam in chat, get good, get this, get the cheat engine, or what they were calling it. I don't want to give it publicity. But the fact, get good, get this, just kind of shows you the mindset of the cheat industry. But also, it was also exceptionally obvious some of them were cheating, because probably the biggest one I remember was a sniper on several maps I played. I mean, the most common one would be 2-Fort, but it's not the only one. Would actually set in place, spin 360 unspeakably fast, like you have your mouse set up to its highest sensitivity and just rolling across the desk, and occasionally stopping for a split second, shoot, headshot, and then continue spinning. Incredibly obvious that you're cheating.
Right.
And the entire time's spamming that, because he's using the free version of it. So the cheat industry has been around for ages, and it has latched onto popular games, because at the time, Team Fortress 2, I don't think it was the most popular on Steam, but it was like the second or third. So, it was there, and, the MMOs have always had that problem. It's just, PUBG has gotten there.
Yeah. Interesting times we live in, I feel, in the games industry.
Yeah, especially now that these are also being used as vectors for Trojans, because that wasn't necessarily the case in the past. You would still get, the occasional, cheat engine, which I realize cheat engine isn't exactly the same thing as this, because that's more of a single player thing, even though it can be used in multiplayer games that implement their multiplayer in a stupid manner, where everything is client side, and the server just like, okay, on that, I guess, sir, go ahead. So, the cheat engine can be used there, but I'm using that more as a general catch-all term. The fact that these cheat engines, these cheat programs, are being used so much to distribute Trojans, or distributing viruses. That's the whole news story here. That's caught on that much. But they've arrested over 120 hackers, and with PUBG Corp steadily increasing anti-cheat measures, which I find that amazing to believe. But they are saying that the cheating has slowed in the PUBG player base. So, minor victories.
Minor victories.
But these 15 hackers
winner, chicken dinner. Got it. Bam. Sorry. Not sorry.
These 15. I know you're not sorry. You're never sorry. You have no shame.
Nope.
These 15 hackers, according to Game Industry Biz, were fined $5.1 million.
I assume that's collectively, not individually.
It's not actually clear on what it is, if it's collective or not, but I realize across 15 people, that's, not as much on average.
That's still a shitload of money.
But it's still a shitload of money. But these are mostly going after the Trojans with the 5.1 million. Damn. I have to wonder what the jail time is on that, because, this is a malicious code.
It's 300 an average, if everyone got the same fine, $340,000 a piece.
Yeah, which I'm assuming that translates into a nice round number in their currency.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts here outside of just surprised that it's sprung up like this?
I don't think so. I mean, we said at the beginning that this was a pretty short topic.
Yeah.
And I think you covered everything, really.
Okay, so moving along.
Indeed, Call of Juarez Gunslinger officially returns to Steam, and by extension, back to our Game Club list.
Yeah, the Game Club queue. Which Call of Juarez, pretty much all the games on Steam under this series were pulled from Steam not too long ago. But only Gunslinger came back. The other ones that were considered kind of shitty never returned. So, what do you think?
Maybe that's why they didn't come back.
Yeah, what do you think or what do you think about them not coming or bringing back games that are not considered as good and kind of cleansing a game's history or a game's lineage?
Well, I'm not sure if I agree that the first Call of Juarez wasn't that good. The first Call of Juarez was a really interesting game, and it had some neat ideas between the two main characters that you played, and I loved the way that it told
this
its
is
story.
Specifically Call of Juarez Bound in Blood, not the very first one.
But what I thought you said they didn't bring.
I'm not sure if they. I think all the ones except Gunslinger that left came back.
Is Bound in Blood the one that was modern day?
I think so.
Cartel? Call of Juarez, the Cartel? I don't know. The one that was set in modern times. It was an okay shooter. I played it back.
No, that one is still a Western.
Okay, there's one that's modern times. Call of Juarez is.
No, wait. It's a little confusing here. The Bound in Blood is still under the Ubisoft banner. It looks like some of these actually changed publishers. That's part of the reason why they're pulled.
Yeah, Call of Juarez, the Cartel is set in modern times. And it looks like the cover of the game makes it look still kind of like a Western. But it's not. It's set in modern times. Actually, this cover doesn't. That guy's wearing a ballistic vest that says police, and they're wearing modern clothes.
Well, yeah, what if they had a ballistic vest that just said sheriff? With a 10-star.
Totally passable. Totally passable. Believable.
No, it looks like Bound in Blood is still on Steam. I'm not sure. I kept seeing people talking about how a good chunk of them didn't come back, or maybe it's just the Cartel didn't come back. I mean, I got confused.
The Cartel's the worst one. It's not a bad game to play, but in comparison to the other games, it's just a generic shooter. The first one, the original Call of Juarez, was a good game.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the Cartel, so that's probably what everybody was talking about, and dudes just got a little confused.
Yeah, I haven't played Bound in Blood.
I have Bound in Blood on the U store because I got it through Newegg with store credit that I had to use, and it doesn't run because I have the audacity to have more than 2 cores on my CPU.
Yeah. The first Call of Juarez, though, was really good. It was I actually played this game with my mom, weirdly, back in the day, because this game came out in 2007. I had it on Xbox 360, and she came into my room one day, and she's like, "What are you playing?" And I told her what it was, and she's like, "Oh, that's really interesting. It's a Western." And my mom likes Westerns, so she sat down and played, or watched me play, like, half of the game.
I think she would really like at least the narrative of Gunslinger. That's a very, very interesting take on a lot of tropes.
Yeah.
Have you played Gunslinger?
No, I haven't. I'm like, I know, what it is and what the concept of it is. Because, unreliable narrator, and it's a lot more wacky.
It's a lot more spaghetti Western.
Yeah. But I've never played it. I wanted to play it, and then
it was pulled.
I never bought it, and then it got pulled from Steam.
So, this is back on the Game Club queue as well.
Yeah, it's $10 right now. I might just buy it.
Or just wait for summer sale.
Yeah.
Because
But I mean, I'm glad that it's back. For the most part, it sucks when games get pulled.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they're like early access, Steam Direct garbage, no love lost there. But games that were considered as being good games or interesting games, it sucks when they get pulled because of business garbage.
Yeah,
I mean, I get that it's an industry, it's a business, shit like that's going to happen, but it still sucks when it does, and it's good to see it come back.
Or just get content removed. It's not on the docket, but we had it where GTA 4, it had its 10th anniversary, and for it, a good chunk of music got removed from it.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where one radio station was pretty much gone. Which, that gets more into the regular industry being utter shit.
Yeah.
But, that's not a new thing. I mean, they've done that to television for ages. It's just I shouldn't say it's a little surprising, but it's not that, the game industry has fallen into the same trap that the television industry has. Where I don't think they really considered that games have such a long tail, particularly more modern ones, which they started using more licensed music, I would say around 2000-isk. I mean, there was some licensed music before, but it's become a lot more noticeable. It's become a lot more mainstream.
Yeah.
So, losing Alan Wake because it uses too much licensed music and you can't really exchange it. Losing so much music out of the GTA games just in general, because San Andreas had that, Vice City had that, now GTA 4 makes me think GTA 5 is going to in a few years maybe. We're just seeing a thing where there's industry bullshit that really gets in the way of the games being art aspect of it,
Yeah. Kind of want to buy a Western game. I'm gonna wait till the summer sale and see if it's even cheaper.
Yeah, but definitely pick up Gunslinger.
Yeah, definitely going to. That way, if something happens to it again,
well,
I'll still have it, and then we'll both have it, so it can stay on the list. All right. Moving on to our next... sorry.
I was going to ask for a quick break to refill my water.
Sure. Moving on to a quick break. We'll be right back. AMD don't see a significant risk of secondhand GPUs appearing as crypto demand wanes.
Yeah, which I think the more significant title here is, the fact that crypto demand is waning enough that AMD is trying to reduce the leeriness of the consumer to be able to use secondhand cards.
Yeah, well, I would be very careful. If you buy a secondhand card and they don't disclose that it was a crypto card,
assume crypto.
Yeah. But any card that's been used heavily for crypto mining, at best, you're gonna have a reduced life in your PC, and you're gonna need to replace the fan immediately.
Yeah, which some of the cards have it pretty much built in that you could easily replace the fans. That's actually why I like Sapphires, that they have you turn a screw, you remove one screw, and the entire fan assembly comes off in one unit. But granted, that also makes it a dedicated part. But there's a second article here that graphics card makers will be forced to slash prices after GPU shipments fall by 40%. So, that's kind of the more significant thing here, where AMD is trying to alleviate fears while demand is falling significantly as cryptocurrency is really shifting gears once again.
Yeah. The two things have happened recently have happened recently with cryptocurrency mining. Three things really. So the first, ASICs
Four things have happened.
ASICs have existed for a while now, and these are specific, basically baby PCs that is their entire purpose. They're designed to mine cryptocurrency
and pass butter.
And they are, and what?
And pass butter.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't like the show, but I can at least make the meme.
But that has been driving the demand for GPUs down because most of your major cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, I haven't checked up in a couple of weeks. I don't know what else is on top
Doge?
right now. Xcoin. Oh, Dogecoin has not been a thing for a while.
I was making a joke.
I mean, it's still okay. Well, it still exists, but anyways, most of your major coins have hit the sort of difficulty level where they can't really effectively be mined by GPUs anyway. So the GPU mining has shifted to other coins which have less difficult encryption algorithms to break. But a lot of those coins, they're that type, or those cryptos, the second thing that's causing a shift, I think, is those cryptos have really been being adjusted and targeted to sort of like, air quotes, everyday people. And so they have lower difficulties that are easier to mine with CPUs or low-end graphics cards. There's a new type of cryptocurrency that is mined using hard drive space.
What?
I don't understand how that works, but it's a real thing, and it uses excess hard drive space on your machine to mine cryptocurrency.
And find porn.
Absolutely. But I don't know how that works. I haven't found a good like ELI5 for it yet, so I can't quite explain it to you, but it does use your hard drive space. There's a cryptocurrency that uses RAM now.
Oh, great.
Like
so RAM prices are going to go even higher.
I mean, all cryptocurrencies use your RAM per se in the way that a PC does, but this one takes your RAM and creates kind of a scratch disk with it. And then uses your CPU to interact with the scratch disk.
Well, remember, if you scratch your disk, be sure to wash your hands afterwards.
I'll always wash your hands. But, and then the third thing is that after Bitcoin plummeted, like after Bitcoin surged to like 20 grand a coin and then plummeted to a still extremely high, like $9,000 a coin.
So it's over 9,000?
A lot of people cashed out. And so we're in sort of a decline right now. Like your hardcore miners and then the people who saw it as an opportunity to invest after it crashed. There are less people right now currently mining for crypto. So you're not seeing all of these cards being bought everywhere all the time. So that's I'd say that's why your demand is
down 40%.
Dropping.
Well, at least the demand for the GPUs, because that's a hell of a drop off.
Yeah.
But it's just I wonder if AMD is setting themselves up for a problem by trying to pass off, well, it's all right to use a card that's been used for crypto, and down the road, a year or two from now, we're going to see people that took that advice at face value and didn't really research it anymore, bought a card off eBay, or that somebody was dropping all their RX 480s or 560s or what have you, have their card blow up, possibly literally, and then blame AMD for it whenever the card was taxed 100% for over a year, which these cards are not designed for that. They're designed for high capacity and short burst, and then to cool off. With high heat, you're damaging the capacitors. You're putting a lot of stress on the cooling system, and it's just not designed for that.
Yeah, when I do cryptocurrency mining, I don't run them at full capacity, because especially on my main rig, which I don't really do cryptocurrency mining on my main PC anymore, because I've got this backup PC that I bought a graphics card, just like a secondhand graphics card specifically to just run it all the time for cryptocurrency mining. But even at that, I still only run it at about 50% capacity, because obviously it's bad for it to run flat out all the time. So, yeah. I mean, if this won't happen, because I think people, well, it might happen, but it seems incredibly unlikely to happen. Like, if you manage to run across someone who's like, hey, I use this card for cryptocurrency mining for X number of months or even years, although probably a card wouldn't last for years, cryptocurrency mining, but whatever, and you're able to buy it on eBay for like, I don't know, 20 or 30, maybe even like $50 if it's like a 1080. But the thing is that, you'll never run up on that, because everything that I've seen where crypto miners are selling their secondhand cards,
they're not
asking
disclosing for one.
Either they're not disclosing, or if they are, they're still asking for nearly full retail price for a card.
The manufacturer price?
I'm not going to buy that. Yeah, really close to MSRP.
Well, to be fair, that's a hell of a deal right now, because until very recently, cards were hugely inflated just because of the cryptocurrency surge.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fed onto itself, because you had this surge in cryptocurrency, then major news organizations got wind that Bitcoin is doing absolutely insane things right now. So they run stories, which brings more people on, which brings the price higher, which also inflates the price of Bitcoin more and more and more until the bubble bursts and goes boop and down. Bitcoin
is currently at $9,023.01 per coin.
Oh, see, it's the 1 cent that puts it way over. That
Bitcoin.
It's just way too high.
Sorry. Bitcoin Cash, which is one of the most recent splits or forks off Bitcoin, is at 1337. It's elite. And then Ethereum, $665 a coin.
Oh, so close there. If it was 666, that would have been like perfect. Elite and evil.
Well, it's 665.89, so you could round up. You could say 666.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be technically correct.
Elite Satan. But yeah, that's what cryptocurrencies, the big ones, are at right now.
Yeah, it's just, I have to admit that the whole cryptocurrency thing, it just seems absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a speculative investment type thing right now. If it ever becomes a regulated normal currency, its value will plummet, because the whole reason that it's can be worth so much is that it's not regulated.
Yeah, it's the Wild
West.
Makes
it highly, that makes it highly volatile and speculative. I have a air quotes Bitcoin now for my birthday. My dad likes to get me weird things, and for my birthday he got me a Bitcoin, and he was like, "I got you a Bitcoin," and I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Well, it's not what you think." And then he handed me like a thing, and it's like a physical, like, it's silver and gold, but it's a Bitcoin. But it's, I mean, I don't know how much it's worth. I haven't looked that up yet. Probably, I don't know, $50. Like, it's one of those sort of like novelty coins that you can buy off of QVC or whatever.
Yeah, one point, I think it was Penn Jillette on his podcast. Somebody gave him a Bitcoin. It was one of those coins that had a code on it. It had 15 coins in it. That'd be
nice.
And he didn't use the code, so it ran out. I think it was 15. So 300,000 ish.
Yeah. Oh.
What?
On eBay, there's one listed, or there's one at $105 right now. And this is exactly the one that I have, but it's a higher serial number than the one that's on mine. Although values of coins are collector and commemorative coins are weird.
Yeah, well, coin and art is just another one of those eye of the beholder. Doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're in that world.
Yeah.
Because
I see.
There was a few art articles I've seen in the last week or so that's, they talk about the price of this piece of art, and it's like, I could make that for $50 and a trip to the hardware store. But I don't have a recognizable name. I don't have a lot of clout with my name, so the bullshit that I throw together, it just doesn't get viewed on YouTube. It's not sold for millions and millions and millions.
I see what these are. So these that are listed for like $100+ were a limited run that had QR codes on them that had a value of Bitcoin.
Ah.
So they aren't actually selling the coins, they're selling the QR codes on the coins.
Ah, makes sense now. Do you still get the physical coin?
This auction is not selling the physical coin, just the QR code.
Ah. You're buying a picture.
Displaying current Bitcoin value. Where's the link? I want to see how much this coin's worth. Well, don't say that you can go to the link and not put it in your listing, asshole.
Well, you can always melt down the coin. Of course, firing up a furnace that hot may, completely negate the value of the coin, but yeah.
I wonder if I can just scan the QR code.
And welcome to the QR code portion of the podcast.
Let me try this. Let me just see what happens if I try and scan the QR code.
Well, if you end up in the Matrix, say hi to Neo for me.
Okay.
And tell Morpheus to get some ear hooks for his glasses. He looks weird.
It's not scanning.
Oh, we are completely off the rails. Is this going to get cut?
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not going to mess with this anymore. It's not scanning the code. Fuck it.
Well, you'll do it.
I'll look up.
You won't do it live.
I won't do it live. It's going to take too much time.
So
I don't. Do you have any more?
That ain't more time than I thought it would.
Yeah. Alrighty. Moving on to our next news topic. We got a whole bunch of them this week. Steam Spy creator develops new algorithm to keep service alive.
Yeah, but she was throwing a bit of a fit for news sites reporting his tweet. Verbatim, essentially. Because he was talking about how Steam Spy, a matter of fact, we talked about it pretty much as I saw it a couple weeks ago now, wasn't it? Where he said he wasn't sure how Steam Spy could continue and that it'd be shutting down. He got upset that sites were reporting that.
Yeah. I don't...
But the main thing on this is that Steam Spy is going to attempt to continue with a new algorithm to not really combat, but try to make sense with the new policy that Steam has out. Which Steam and a lot of social websites have changed their privacy terms of service due to the new European laws, which I don't actually know exactly what they entail. I know that they're there. I know there are a set of laws to protect consumer information and to set forth certain guidelines on how information is stored and what can be kept. But I don't know exactly what those are. And I've never been able to find that. But because Steam had to comply with that and possibly went overboard, I don't know. Steam Spy overreacted, and now Steam Spy is calling game journalists overreacting and creating a new algorithm, which isn't in the public yet. It's right now behind a paywall on his Patreon. Which, it's a little hard to really bite that bullet,
Yeah.
Especially shortly after him talking about the site shutting down.
Oh, I thought that was just not necessarily an error or something, but just because I wasn't signed in when I went to go check something on there earlier. So you have to...
Yeah, the right now the API is only for the Patreon users, and a lot of the news updates he's been doing has been to Patreon users only, the blog posts. And then he got upset that, the game sites were saying Steam Spy was shutting down, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. You're not giving out information. You said that the site is shutting down, and then you get upset that sites are reporting that your site is shutting down.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're doing news updates, they should not be on a Patreon-only blog, in my opinion.
Yeah. Wait, the news updates are on the Patreon only blog?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I'm printing something. Whoops, I thought I was saving that as a PDF.
Well, a lot of the updates that he's been doing, and is talking with the community, has been on his Patreon only blog. So there's been no information out there except for the people that paid for it, and the ones that paid for it haven't really relayed that. So it's a little bit, tough to feel a little bit of sympathy on him for really being upset about this, because you're restricting your own fucking information here.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that Steam Spy is able to continue with such anonymous information. I'm just wondering how accurate it's going to be. If we're going to see a margin of error that's too big to have the info be of any real use. That's a little bit of a concern.
Yeah, well, it says on here that he said that it would be less accurate, but he'd keep working on it.
Yeah, he said he was able to come within 10% of margin on a majority of games tested, with only a few crazy outliers. So that's actually not too bad. Another podcast I listen to, which is more game developers, with games journalists in it as well. They were actually a little bit happy that Steam Spy was shutting down, which just boggles my mind, talking about how the information was muddying the waters, essentially. That it essentially makes certain situations worse, especially things like Lawbreakers, where the news that the game was dead the game was dead and that it didn't sell well was based off a lot of Steam Spy numbers, but Steam gives that data out already for the top 100, and if it's not appearing in the top 100, that means that you're below a certain threshold on player count. I mean, hell, right now, as we're talking, that would be under 1,982. For Space Engineers, by the way. So, that's not exactly Steam Spy's fault. It's just a little bit confusing to me that people are actually happy to lose this information.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's better to have the information than not. I could see how some people, particularly devs of poorly performing games, wouldn't want that information out there. Makes it a lot more difficult for them to lie in their PR statements. But I think it's better that we have the information than not.
Yeah, very true. I guess it's just so strange to me that there's an active portion of the industry that much rather keep players in the dark that aren't its suits, that are the people in the trenches wanting to sell their games, that's wanting to get their games out there. Because Steam Spy is a very important tool. It allows a lot of figuring out, particularly on these multiplayer-focused games. We talked about during Muffled Warfare, selling a multiplayer-focused indie title is typically a death sentence for a game because you just don't get the player base. But if a game is a sleeper hit and it has a big enough cult following that it warrants a purchase if you play with the community, Steam Spy would help you figure it out if that's the case, along with Steam charts. But without that information, you just go to the top 100, don't see it there. Well, I guess nobody's playing.
Yeah.
Or you're relying on the community forums, which is not exactly a good way to do it, because there's a lot of people that will call a game dead long before it's dead. If you go to the community forums and see, okay, well, let's set up a game night, that's not a good sign for the player base.
Yeah. No, it's not.
But maybe it's just being too close to the industry to really see it as a consumer side of things. Two sides of the same coin, essentially.
Yeah, I could see that. See the point you're making. But
speaking of industry bullshit, or never mind. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say I hope Steam Spy sticks around, even if their algorithm's a little less, or even if their data's a
I
little
wish
less accurate
I
than
wish
before.
Valve would be able to work with them, but maybe with the European laws they aren't able to.
Yeah, maybe.
Like I said, I haven't been able to find the nitty-gritty on those laws.
Well, speaking of laws,
Eh?
EA, Activision, Blizzard, and Valve are found in breach of Belgian gambling laws.
So care to guess what this is about?
Would it be some boxes?
No, micro DLC.
Which can... Oh, man.
Yeah, you buy the keys and then you unlock the boxes.
Oh.
So, loot boxes in FIFA 18, Overwatch, and CSGO violate gambling legislation, says Belgian Gaming Commission. Or gaming, commission, because gaming in this case is gambling.
Yeah. So, many months ago, the article says following a 5-month investigation, so I guess 5-ish months ago.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was in the clusterfuck with EA and Battlefront 2, which it's kind of funny that Battlefront 2 got away from this because they recently patched that out, but they got it with FIFA 18 instead.
Yeah, but I mean, we mentioned a number of countries that said, we're going to look at this, we're going to investigate it, it's going to committee. And I mean, we haven't heard anything since. Last week, there was some rumblings that this might be the case. And it was after we recorded last week that this news story broke. That, yeah, they are in violation.
Yeah, but the ESRB says, no.
Yeah, so let's see. Where I'm looking, scanning the article to look for the numbers.
$800,000 euro fine on if the offending loot boxes are not removed. And these could also scope for a 5-year prison sentence, but these punishments can also be doubled when minors are involved.
Indeed. So, a few things about that. One, first of all, for these companies...
Who do you throw in jail?
Yeah, who do you throw in jail? I mean, they would find someone to throw in jail, I'm sure. I don't know, they would offer up somebody.
Damn code monkeys.
Yeah, who do you put in jail for that? Number one. And I don't really know if there's a good answer for that.
Even though I have to admit, this idea just popped in my mind, or this thought just popped in my mind, and I have to share it. Next E3, the president of EA is giving the presentation from his jail cell.
Actually, I think there's precedent for it being CEOs, because I remember in other, just very vaguely from other...
Yeah, but Belgian law, it's a little hard to tell in that case, but yeah, it just popped in my mind, it's like, oh, that'd be hilarious and sad at the same time.
Yeah. But, okay, so that was the first thing. The second thing, 800,000 euros is probably like 1.2 or $3 million. That's not a lot for these giant companies. The fines that are imposed against companies are usually pretty small compared to the type of money that they bring in. But
actually,
this could have a knock-on effect.
Not even that. I'm just doing a quick... Yeah, according to this, 800,000 is 960,632 at current exchange rates.
Oh, wow. The euro's fallen a lot since the last time I checked the exchange ratio.
It's 1.2, 1 to 1.2.
Okay. That's getting pretty close to parity. I think they consider 0.9 to 1.1 parity rate. Anyways, so that's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, but Belgium is in the EU.
Yeah.
So this could have a knock-on effect with future EU laws and whatnot. So this could be interesting. The question is going to be how these companies cave and pay the fine. Like, do they pay the fines
do they just,
and remove?
Or they just not sell in Belgium, because that's the other aspect of it.
Yeah. Do they give in and either remove them, pay the fine, and or pay the fines, or do they just stop selling games in Belgium or those games? It's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
Here's a couple of quotes. This is why we must also ensure that children and adults are not confronted with games of chance when they're looking for fun in a video game. That's why this ruling came down. Now that it is clear that children and vulnerable people in particular are exposed to them, unprotected, game manufacturers, but also parties such as FIFA, for example, are called upon to call a halt to this practice. This was the Belgian gaming director Peter Nischelens talking. I mean, damn. I mean, that's pretty wrong. That's some pretty strongly worded statements.
Yeah.
We decided to first go have a meeting with the sector, and then we're going to look into what they have to do. There is no timing on things at the moment, though. So that's the Justice Minister Gurin's giving an interview to Game Industry Biz, which is one of our sources for this. We strongly believe that our games are developed and implemented ethically and lawfully around the world, and these take responsibilities very seriously. A spokesman told Games Industry Biz. So, there's going to be some talks here trying to figure out what to do. So maybe Jim Sterling is right that the year of the loot box is dead just because EA got too greedy. But it's really going to come down to just how things play out, really in the EU as a whole. Because I think Belgium's probably small enough that a lot of the AAA publishers will just say, yeah, we'll cut out Belgium or do like they do with Germany and make a separate version. Because Germany has some very stringent censorship laws and very certain things that you can't depict, particularly around Nazism, but just general violence as well, at least for quite a while, where game designers, game developers would just make a separate version that's slightly tweaked. Remove the mustache from Hitler. He's no longer Hitler, right? So I have to wonder if we'll see something like how Blizzard treated the loot boxes in Overwatch in China, where instead they use a loophole and just a very minor tweak to the system. Assuming that they want to continue down this route, because honestly, I think they're insane if they do. Because things are getting insane. And I'm saying insane a lot because this is fucking crazy. It's just crazy that we've gotten to this point. Really, we've talked about loot boxes for months now because of fucking EA. Fuck EA and fuck Battlefront. But they promised to do better on Battlefront 3, so it makes me wonder just how they're going to fuck it up this time.
Indeed. Yep, we're breaking new ground here, one way or the other. It's interesting. It's a beautiful train wreck.
I'm sick of loot boxes, but we talk about the news, and this is major news that this isn't the first one that's declared them to be in violation, but this is probably the first major to call out specific games, because we had one a couple weeks ago where it was Mystery, wasn't it? It was Netherlands, I think, that was calling out certain games, but wasn't saying who, and was giving them 6 or 8 weeks. So we'll find out about that one eventually. The AAA industry is just a fucking train wreck. No wonder people don't consider video games art. Between pulling music, pulling games, and just microtransactions out the wazoo.
Yep. I too am sick of talking about loot boxes, but we do cover news, and this is a pretty big one, like you said.
Yeah.
But let's move on from one thing that I'm sick of talking about to another thing that I'm pretty close to being sick of talking about. Battle Royale, already saturated, according to State of Decay 2 devs. And I would say yes, but it's about to get a whole lot worse.
Oh, yeah, because we got E3 coming up, and we know that at least one of the major yearly shooters is going to have a Battle Royale mode. Definitely.
Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Call of Duty already. No single player, Battle Royale.
Yeah, which...
The new Call of Duty.
To be fair, I never really cared about the Call of Duty single player, but the fact that they're cutting it for Battle Royale, which is a game mode that takes a day or two of development.
Yeah. I feel really weird whenever people say Battle Royale is a genre, because
it's a game mode.
It's a game mode.
Yeah, but the thing is
because there are multiple genres using Battle Royale appropriately for their genre at this point. But it just feels weird.
Yeah, but the thing is that the major ones in the scene, that is their primary game mode, so it becomes a genre in people's minds. Which the genre and game mode is getting a little bit muddied here just because of that, and that it is a very different style of game, and a lot of game engines just aren't designed around as big a map and a bigger number of players that you need for that. So I could see how people could call it a game mode as well.
Yeah,
but
it's I mean, this is how the cycle always goes, though. This is how the trend cycle goes.
Yeah, it's just kind of been fast forward this time, because Battle Royale is very, very simple to develop as a core concept. To add to it, to change things up, like how Fortnite did it. It does take a little bit of effort, but they also brought in things from their single player to change things up. So, the April Fools this year, Path of Exile actually put in a Battle Royale mode, and in their trailer for it, they made fun of the fact that it took them 1 day of development to make it.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it wasn't balanced all that well, but the fact that they could throw it together that quickly with their engine says that Battle Royale is a simple thing to build, but it's very popular right now. And because of both of those, we're seeing the cycle that we saw with World War II games, then MMOs, then MOBAs, and now Battle Royale just playing out a lot faster.
Zombie games. Zombie games too.
Well, zombie games is kind of it's risen from the grave several times.
Hey-o.
But there was a very popular time where zombie games were everything. So, but because Battle Royale has such a short development time, it's playing out in fast forward. I mean, we saw MOBAs just recently dying off with Paragon dying off, and in the last couple of years, we've seen some of the minor MOBAs just either shutting down or getting to player bases where they're unsustainable. It's just, because of the development time, it's playing out faster here.
Yeah.
But they said, we're a fairly small studio. You have to dedicate you have to decide who your audience is and who you're making this game for. There's only so much pivoting that can be done with a small studio once you sort of committed to a particular direction. And that's really where I think Boss Key Studios is going to have some trouble, because Radical Heights isn't doing all that well.
Nope.
But they also launched an extreme early access. And yes, I realize I'm picking on Radical Heights again, but for a reason. I mean, this is the second time in a row they've been chasing the fad, and it's come back to bite them. But, they're not the only ones. On my weekly search for review code, I have to say I'm seeing Battle Royale pop up a lot more often, which is just a head scratcher to me because it requires such a large player base. Or such a larger player base, I should say, for a multiplayer focused game. Just, I really don't understand people chasing the Battle Royale side of things on such a small level. I could see the AAA's doing it and sustaining for a while. But yeah, I do think that we're going to hit a peak either very soon, or we already have, where Battle Royale is going to fall off in popularity because there's only so much you could do with the mode.
Yeah.
Unless you see weird things. Some sort of something like how Robocraft was trying to do it, even though they never saw the player count to really take off, where you're building up cars. Crossout is actually doing the same thing, where you're building cars quickly. You start with a basic car, you find weapons and blocks and that sort of thing, and you strap them on, which is an interesting thing. Actually, I would like to see that done with more of a Gary's Mod style, where you're a physical person getting out of the car and strapping it to your car, and then you get into it and you're driving around, with some sort of gravity gun-esque mechanic or something like that, or Fortnite, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
But once again, is it sustainable? That's the real question. It's just, we're just getting a little sick of seeing Battle Royale stuff popping up.
Yeah, I don't know if Battle Royale is at its height, but if it's not, I don't feel like there's a lot farther for it to go.
Yeah,
we're gonna get some AAA entries.
Well, we already kind of have with. Didn't GTA 5 have it? And then you never.
GTA 5 had a Battle Royale.
Yeah, it added it, and then I heard nothing else about it. So, but then again, GTA 5 has so many game modes that its player base must be so fractured at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not looking forward to E3 now because I realized a few weeks ago that we're going to see Battle Royale out the wazoo.
Yeah, we need to coordinate our E3 better this year so we can do some snarking together and record that or stream it. We'll figure it out closer to time, but we need to coordinate this year.
Or just pre-record my groans. Oh, not Battle Royale again, please! No, let me die.
Well, speaking of letting you die, Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery forces you to pay or wait to save a kid from being strangled to death.
Yeah, this is more mobile game bullshit than AAA game bullshit, where they released essentially an RPG Harry Potter game on mobile, which, that makes me want to play it right away. And it has an energy system where they coordinate it to essentially every single cliffhanger has you run out of energy, and it pops up a thing, buy more energy or refill your meter in order to continue. It's just so fucking insidious.
Yep. Let's see. Let me pull up the message because Jim sent me this earlier today, and I didn't respond to him because I was doing something. He sent me the link, and they said forcing people to wait or pay to stop a character in a game from being strangled to death has to be some kind of psychological terror when they impose it in a game targeted for children. Yeah, that's pretty nasty. I mean, a certain age of kid is going to be okay with it. Like,
I mean, just look at the pictures of this. Yeah, him staring off in the distance, and the energy meter pops up. Out of energy.
7 hours, 58 minutes, 18 seconds. I assume that's how much energy, or how long it'll take to build up that much energy.
Yep, see you tomorrow, kid.
Yeah, not only is that like that image is like really creepy.
Well, maybe it's
like just the dead eyes.
Well, it's the PS2 era graphics that really sells the deadness,
Yeah.
I would say that's about PS2 era, don't you?
Yeah, looks like it.
I would say late PS2 era with the detail in the background.
Yep.
But it's kind of amazing that we haven't really seen that many Harry Potter games, actually.
There were a bunch of them.
But there were mostly the Lego ones that were actually the ones that were memorable.
Yeah, well, there were a bunch of them like 15 years ago. I remember playing a couple of. I was a kid, but I was never really all that much into Harry Potter.
It's more
so
a passing interest to me, and but this is just insane. The dead eyes, though, the dead eyes.
Yeah.
He saw how much it is to save him, and he's like, oh, I'm fucking dead. But they also, on Game Industry Biz, is releasing an A/B pricing model, so certain people are getting huge discounts on the gems to be able to pay into the energy. So if you get lucky, maybe you can save your kid for slightly less.
Woo.
I don't get why people pay to play these games. I mean, $100 for in-game energy to play a mobile game. I don't get that. Is this a case I'm old?
Maybe I'm old. Yeah, no, I don't get it either. I mean, there's certain mobile games that I will and have paid money for things, but never like I've never paid to refill an energy bar. I either just wait because it's a game I play sparingly, so I never have a problem with energy, or it's like, oh, I actually want to play this game, not wait.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I'm not going to pay you
Yeah, pretty
money.
much. Anytime I see an energy beater, I turn off the game now. It makes me wonder if we're going to see some sort of government looking at these games as exploitative, because that's the big drive behind the loot box, is that they exploit minors.
Yeah.
And this is the same sort of thing. I'm not calling for a regulation here yet, but yeah, it's utter bullshit. I mean, didn't we see when tappers really started to get into play, the cow clickers? And kids were racking up absolutely enormous bills because, these games were targeted towards them. But they also had the ability to buy in pretty much completely unlocked. I remember there was one with the Smurfs game where the kid racked up a several $1,000 bill. And it was all over the major news for quite a while.
Yeah, I remember that from several years ago. $1,200 or something.
It was well over 2,000, I believe.
Oh, okay. There's another one I remember too that was like $1,200, or maybe it was like $1,200 in one purchase.
Yeah, maybe. And I know
Also,
the Simpsons one was also very bad for quite a while. A couple news stories popping up for that one.
Yeah. Also, there are 27 Harry Potter video games.
27.
From the last 15 years.
Yeah, but how recent is the last one, not counting this one?
The last main one, based on the movies, was 2011. The last one
was probably a Lego game.
The actual last one, Lego Harry Potter years 5 through 7, and this release 2016.
So it's still been a couple of years, but that's a Lego game. But yeah, I do think that the mobile industry is playing with fire as well with these microtransactions. They've gotten away with it for the most part because it's been the boiling frog, the slow installation of these systems.
Yeah,
but I do think that people are going to quickly start to realize, once their kids start racking up more and more of these bills, as more and more games start implementing things like this, that this is kind of bullshit. But then you hit the problem that premium mobile games just don't sell because the free-to-play mobile games kind of poison the idea of paying for a game that you play for a couple of hours or a few days and that's it. I mean, I have that mental block whenever I look at a mobile game that's paid for. It's like, these mobile games are kind of trash. Do I want to buy in? Probably not, actually.
Yeah, not interested in getting into these games.
Well, it's mostly also, I know Jim was looking for airplane-worthy games that don't require online and bullshit. And I wasn't able to come up with anything because anything that I have enjoyed has been short sessions. And then I've quickly gotten tired of it once I came up against a paywall.
Yeah, my favorite mobile games to play, like on planes or when I'm traveling or whatever, when I don't have access to the internet, tend to be those like choose your own adventure style games.
Choice of game?
Yeah, the choice of games.
Oh, well, no, that's the company. It's a choice of game.
Is it? I know many of their early titles started out as choice of whatever. Choice of game. Let's see what happens when I just Google that. Yep, that is them. Choice of games.
See, I remember things. And sometimes they're even relevant.
And they've got better names for things now, but a lot of their early games were choice of superheroes, choice of robots, choice of pirates, etc., etc.
Well, they were establishing their brand.
Yeah.
Which I could see that. Especially with how mobile it is. They have it. They brought some to Steam, but not a lot. They have a ton, though.
Yeah, Jesus, they've got a shitload of these.
Well, it's easy to crank them out. You just really need a writer. I mean, they're an interactive novel. You're still counting. That's impressive.
46, 48, 50, 52, 4, 6, 58, 60, 2, 8, 70, 2, 4, 6, 7. 77. They have 77 games.
78 now. 79.
All of them I have ever played are of high quality.
Yeah, at worst, they've been all right.
Yeah.
But they're also not entirely long. They're more of a branching path.
Yeah. I've played maybe 10 of these.
I've only played a couple of them.
Yeah, a lot of them are free on mobile, and they just have ad breaks. But as far as I know, you can buy all of them on mobile, and then you don't have to deal with that. And yeah, they're completely offline. Occasionally, some of them are like multi-parts. They've got one that's called, or they've got a trilogy that's called Heroes Rise.
Yeah, that's the one I played on Steam. That the first third of it.
Yeah. And in Heroes Rise, you create a character in the first one, and then you carry over your save game through each one, and you like email yourself your save game, and then it picks it up from there. So if you don't have access to the internet, you couldn't continue your character.
Just with that attitude.
But I mean, it takes hours to play through these games, several hours. So, ooh, this one looks good. Grand Academy for Future Villains. Yes, please. There's some new sci-fi stuff. I'm going to have to peruse some of these.
Yeah, I have one on my phone that I haven't read through yet. It's a Broadway one in the late 19th century.
Yeah.
It looked interesting. But yeah, just the idea of buying some of these, because everything has been so bite-sized. That, and also I don't really put money into the Google Play. It's the surveys so they can fill out the information that they're missing on me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome.
So quick break before we dive into this. Allergy season. My excuse.
Moving on to our final news story of the week. Totalbiscuit announces his retirement due to health issues. So this popped up yesterday.
Yeah, right when we were starting to record Divinity.
Yeah, so in case you are unaware, Totalbiscuit, aka, or his real name, John Bain, has had cancer for
4 years.
Several years
this
now.
Actually came out close to the 4th anniversary of him disclosing that he had colon cancer.
Yes, but what I was saying was, in case you were unaware, he has had cancer for several years now.
I was just giving a time frame.
Right. And they thought that he had beat it once or twice, but it kept returning and popping up in other places in his body. And they recently discovered that it has spread, and he's basically at the point of no return. He is currently, the cancer that he has is currently immune to normal methods of treatment, chemotherapy, radiation treatment, and he was trying to get into a couple of clinical trials, but he discovered that his liver did not have enough function left to qualify him for the trial that he was looking at. I have no idea which one that was, or, why. But in a sort of press release or statement that he made, he said that he didn't qualify because his liver was too damaged at this point. So he's still looking for any clinical trials that will accept him, but basically he's saying that he's stepping down from pretty much everything.
He's going to do still
because he wants to.
Sorry, I was going to say he's still planning on doing some gameplay stuff, but he's more retiring as a game critic, and he's going to continue the podcast on a more streamlined schedule.
Yeah, they're going to be dropping it down to 2 hours per episode instead of 3. And his wife, Jenna, is going to be sort of a backup in case he's having a bad day and can't actually appear on the show. She's going to stand in for him. And don't know, I can't remember if he said that was going to become permanent in the future or if the show was going to continue with Jesse and Dodger and however they wanted to take the format. The link in the show notes is going to go to the official.
Yeah, this is the Cynical Brit official copy of it. This statement appeared on a lot of different gaming-related subreddits in the last 24 hours. But this seemed like the more fitting one to put on, to the official subreddit.
Yeah. So Rage and I talked briefly yesterday. Like we said, this came out just before we recorded our Divinity episodes for the week. And we talked about putting it up and giving people time to send something in. But given how pertinent this news is and how potentially emotionally charged it can be for people, we decided to talk about it today and then leave room for anyone who wanted to submit anything to us to talk about it.
Yeah,
and then we can talk about it again next week.
Yeah,
and address it further.
Yeah, which TB is definitely a controversial content creator as well, just because of his attitude that he had on social media. He was putting him in the same category as Phil Fish is probably a little disingenuous, but he's someone that shouldn't have really interacted directly with people. For quite a while, he had a lot of stress issues, and he let that show too much on social media and snapped at people. He actually snapped at his wife shortly after the U.S. election because she voted for Trump, and he went on a tirade.
Yeah, I remember that. And he's left social media a couple of times. He had a social media manager for a while, but then he would come back. Mostly now he just posts things about dogs.
Yeah, which is probably for the best.
Cute dog pictures and GIFs, yeah. And I know TB's been in therapy. He's openly talked about being in therapy for a long time.
Which does take a fair amount of bravery, considering how therapy is viewed in the United States.
Yeah.
Not to, take a slight at your profession, of course.
No, I get it. Trust me, I get it. It's mostly the older generations, but people from your generation and back, the older people from your generation and then back.
Yeah, I was about to say, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I've heard people say, "You're in therapy? What are you, crazy?" As not a joke.
Yeah.
Or what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I mean, technically that's not inaccurate, but at the same time insensitive and doesn't really help the issue at all.
Yeah.
I know me talking about sensitivity. So
TB has said, he's backing away from everything except for the podcast and doing stuff with his wife. Going to be doing some more stuff and pointing people to her YouTube channel. Going to be doing some more co-op stuff with her. And I think he's going to keep streaming, right?
Yeah,
at least when he's up to it.
Streaming is a lot less stressful because it's more just gameplay and him talking more stream of consciousness. Because, trust me, there's a lot of thought and preparation that goes into something like he does. Granted, I don't put myself nearly on the level of Totalbiscuit, but Totalbiscuit has definitely influenced how I approach games on a critical level.
Yeah, same here. I don't always... In fact, I oftentimes find myself disagreeing with him, but I respect his opinions and the points that he makes. The one thing that I have always really liked about him and the way he does things is he has a no-nonsense business approach to this sort of thing. And at times I've disagreed with that. Like this even comes out here where he's like, look, don't donate to me, don't start anything for me.
Yeah, he links to his business adventures, the Squarespace partnership, his partnership with Chrono GG, which I've actually used a couple of times. His Totalbiscuit shop for his merchandise, his shirts, of course, but not wanting to
buy his goddamn shirts.
Yeah. But no direct donations. As a matter of fact, he shut down his method to actually send him stuff because game publishers were sending him stuff, and he was feeling that it was a potential conflict of interest. With the fact that he did that is gains a lot of respect from me, because I watch. Okay, this is probably throwing Boogie under the bus, but seeing Boogie talk about a game after he does an unboxing of all the merchandise he gets from that publisher kind of taints that the view, because there is a definite conflict there. And I'm not saying that they're buying Boogie, but the fact that there's so much merchandise thrown at these critics, these reviewers, which I don't really call a lot of people critics in the gaming industry, because they don't really look at the games like that.
Yeah, there's a few, and TB was definitely at the head of that.
But because there's so much merchandise and so much association between the critical side of things and the development side of things, that it's tough to see where they're separated and where there's no conflicts. And seeing Totalbiscuit take a very almost clinical approach to how he runs his business, or ran his business, I guess, which hurts to say that in the past tense now, was refreshing and earned a lot of respect from it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've been following TB since 2014, 2015 on YouTube.
Yeah, let's put it this way. When I first started following him, he was covering World of Warcraft Cataclysm alpha coverage. And then he progressed into more general World of Warcraft stuff. He then moved on once he started to get sick of how Blizzard was running things, which, to be honest, can't blame him there. He moved on to a general gaming news channel, and then went into critique and more general, mostly indie and AA stuff, with occasional AAA stuff.
Can you see when you subscribe to a channel?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm able to get a rough time frame just because, the alpha stuff.
Yeah. I honestly can't. It's been years. I can't remember exactly when, but it's been at least 3 years. It may be 4 years that I've been following Totalbiscuit. And I've followed his content off and on over the years because, there's certain games that he, is interested that I'm not interested in, or there's certain segments or shows that he's done that I've not really cared about. But
yeah,
I've been subbed to his channel for a long time.
Yeah, let's put it this way: Cataclysm was December 2010, so that probably puts me in early 2010 for him.
So you've been subscribed for way longer than me, but still, I mean, it makes me very sad. Like, I read through this yesterday, and I got to the end where he's talking about what's gonna happen when he's gone, and I got a little teary eyed. I've never spoken to him, I've never met him or anything,
but you respect him.
I respect him, and he's had a big influence on the way that I play games and think about games critically.
And the fact that he's been a consumer advocate in an industry where there's been so much trying to fuck over the consumer.
Yeah.
And you don't sadly see a lot of them. I mean, the biggest one now will probably be Jim Sterling.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, Jim Sterling, he is also a big name, but he doesn't carry the respect nearly as much because he tends to go a little crazy. Mixing in the wrestling stuff, for example,
Well, To be fair, TB also really loved wrestling.
Yeah, but he never went on non sequitur in the middle of his WTF is to talk about his wrestling character.
Yeah, that's true. So TB currently has 2.3 million subscribers on YouTube, while Jim Sterling has got about 650,000.
Well, Jim Sterling's just the one I could think of off the top of my head. I'm sure that there's probably someone bigger that I'm not familiar with.
I mean, and the same type of critic, like
and
Jim
not
Sterling
just British,
was
by the
my
way.
second. Maybe Angry Joe.
But,
Angry Joe still does more reviews, but in the last couple of years, he's done a lot more.
Yeah, but he tends to also get
critique.
I hate to say that passion for a game is a downside, but it tends to blind you to certain aspects. Granted, TB did get that well at times. I mean, just watch his Space Marine episode where he's just giddy. Which, to be fair, that the very beginning of that game is also a hell of a lot of fun. But there has to be some sort of slight detachment in looking at it as parts of a game, looking at games as not just a pastime, but as almost an art,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be, completely clinical. You don't have to be completely detached. But I think the problem I've had with a lot of reviewers is that while they'll put their own slant on it, they'll also add a lot of bullshit. Talking about the politics of Far Cry 5, for example, That's just the biggest one that I can think of just off the top of my head.
I guess it depends on how you approach that. Although I feel for Far Cry 5 that was more relevant. But I mean,
Yeah, but also talking about how it didn't get more into the political aspect and docking points for it. How it's more of a setting, which Far Cry has always been a setting. But it's just different styles, and I like the style that Totalbiscuit gave.
Yeah. Yeah, I did like Totalbiscuit's review style. I also he's one of the only reviewers that I've seen that goes into technical aspects of stuff, which I like. I like getting into it
the field of view.
I want a game to play well.
I've actually started to look a lot more for field of view in certain games.
I do that as well.
And paying a lot more attention to options, and whenever they're not apparent, I will point them out.
Yeah.
I do think Totalbiscuit, especially with the announcement of his retirement, is going to see a lot of imitators is probably a poor choice of word, but people trying to go more towards his style, and some of them will succeed.
Well, I mean, there have always been people that have attempted to do. I mean, I don't know of any off the top of my head, just because I've never really looked for other ones other than TB. But he's mentioned before on things that people have tried to copy his style. Mm-hmm. Although I suppose that they might be the really shitty ones would be doing things to try and maybe make themselves closer to TB or make themselves appear closer to try and get some of his audience that will be looking for new people to replace him, which sounds morbid, and maybe a little bit it is, but if you lose, that's just life.
Losing a critic, you need to find something to fill the place. I mean, do have other game channels that I follow for this style of review, but none of them really filled the niche that TB did. Mostly because he also would go into a lot more obscure titles and look at things that aren't as mainstream. He'd try to use his channel to signal boost very underperforming games that were in some cases killing a developer that he liked. Granted, he didn't give them a glowing review just for the sake of it. He would look at them because they weren't being played. But he's also come out in the last several months decrying Steam Direct because it's just flooding the market and making that type of job a lot more difficult. So maybe that's also playing into it a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying that he's using this as a crutch to retire, but he is. It's a lot tougher to do his job now.
Yeah.
Just on the face of it, before you even get into his illness, and the fact that he's had a severe back pain because of his cancer returning and putting pressure on his spine. I mean, it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah. I'm gonna enjoy what time he has left.
Yeah, I just hope I hope he doesn't push himself to try to remain a presence online at the detriment to his health.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever you put out a poll about the co-optional, I said that while I would prefer the 3-hour show, with some random bullshit, because it's not like we have random bullshit here, right?
Yeah, it's not like we sort of based our show around another popular show or anything.
I said that I don't put a strain on your health because of it. Do what is more comfortable to you, essentially. And that's what I hope that he keeps up.
Yeah.
I mean, for the longest time on the co-optional podcast, whenever he's done the live broadcast and then putting on his channel, he started to develop a rash because of chemotherapy, and he just started replacing his picture with a static picture of a random dog.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't watch it on the YouTube channel, but they talk about it a lot of times.
Occasionally, I'll pop over to see what game they're talking about because they'll have a tag on it for the current game.
Yeah,
and sometimes I have gameplay. But it's just heartbreaking to see someone that's been so upstanding for the consumer going away like this. And a lot of the flack that he's gotten, at least recently, if it hasn't been from his social media faux pas, would that be a proper term?
Yeah, I think so. It's a good word too, faux pas.
It's been over his Gamergate content where he did a roundtable with industry journalists and trying to discuss the ethics of covering video games while dealing with the developers and the publishers. I mean, he tried to stick with what it was before ethics in games journalism became a running joke.
Yeah.
And got a lot of hate for it. And seeing people, thankfully, on the one that I'm linking to, doesn't have a lot of deleted threads, I think. I mean, you have to go down pretty far. There's over 2,000 comments on this. There were people actually happy about this.
What, that he was dying? Yeah. Well, of course there were, because there are...
Assholes.
Assholes, yeah. There are very, very few people that you should be happy when they die. And you have to be, like, Hitler level to be happy when someone dies.
But are we talking about Hitler dying or being like Hitler to be happy someone dies?
Like, someone needs to be like Hitler level for you to be happy that they die. Either that or have like a very personal connection. Like, it's okay if you're happy if your abusive parent dies and you never like were able to or wanted to reconcile. Like, but that's, very personal. Just like a figure that these people have no real connection to, they have to be like Hitler level for you to be happy that they die. And I would say that all of those people that are happy that TB is dying have no connection to him whatsoever, aside from, they have watched him and they disagree with some of his stuff or what he said one time or took something too far.
Or he went on a rant in social media. And his apology wasn't enough.
Yeah. So, if you, dear listener, you want to share a memory, or I don't know, if you ever met TB at a convention or something, or talked to him once on social media, and you'd like to talk about that, or if you have feelings about this one way or the other, feel free to send them to us, and we'll play them. We can talk about them, or if you'd like us to just not talk about it and just respect whatever you have to say, just, make a little note in there, and we'll just say, hey, so-and-so sent us this, and they just asked that we play it, and not really talk about it. And we can do that. We will respect your wishes in this matter. And if you don't have anything to say, if you feel like we've covered it well enough, then that's cool too. But, this is big news, and as one of, if not the biggest, game critic and pundit out there, I assume that most of you listeners have some sort of knowledge, potentially connection to him.
Yeah, I'm just wanting to see if he ranks on the top 100 on largest YouTube channels. I don't see him on the list. Let's see. Oh yeah, he would have to be over 16 million right now. So yeah, YouTube is very popular, but then again, a lot of these are particular celebrities. Justin Bieber has 38 million subscribers. Hey,
that's a lot.
Hey, we could channel Biff. Taylor Swift has 29 million.
That also is a lot. Alrighty. Well, I think it's time that we move on.
And we should
from
probably
this
say
topic.
BGL podcast at gmail.com.
Yes, indeed. To send in your letters, voice, or text.
Or BGL podcast on the Twitter.
Indeed. So moving on from that, let's head on over to our community corner, where we had a couple of emails this week.
Are we going to pick on Kyle?
Some tweets. Absolutely.
Let's lighten the mood a little bit. Kyle sent in, I got drunk and recorded an alternate intro to the show. Cheers, mate. And we would play it right now, but
he did not attach it to his email. And we could have emailed him or texted him. I have his phone number, or called him and asked for it, but we decided not to. One, because we didn't notice it until today, and two, because this is more funny.
Exactly.
We love you, Kyle, but that means we're going to pick on you, because that's how we show our love.
So he was in that perfect area of drunk where he is drunk enough to think something was a good idea, but too drunk to actually fully commit to it.
Yeah. Gotta commit to the bit, man. Commit to the bit.
Maybe Crash just deleted it.
Maybe so. Maybe Crash was embarrassed. I don't know if Crash has shame or not.
Well, it is a figment of Kyle's imagination, so probably not.
Our next email came from Docile Fossil.
Yeah, and this was all.
I still love saying that.
And this is also a very short one, and also a little bit of a somber one as well. Is Akinesis still doing podcasts? Well, Aki has been having health issues as well, and he's been posting that on Twitter, so I don't feel too bad about saying he's also been dealing with cancer.
Yes, but
he hasn't updated a lot, but he has said that they did get it. So I'm hoping after everything turns out all right with Aki. I would love to see him continue and see the Pro Game podcast continue, and we will forward this message to him.
Yeah, I hope so too. We should see, once he's a little bit more on his feet, we should see about getting him back on the show, because he came on once.
Yeah, for a segment.
Good old Lackey.
Yeah, bonk him on the head, drag him back on.
Yeah, for a segment that lasted like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and their podcast, Prograde podcast, they moved on from just a Kerbal Space Program to a more general space and science gaming, and news and movies and that sort of thing. But to be perfectly honest, I mostly listen to the gaming portion.
Yeah. I wonder if he's played Battletech. I'm going to send him a tweet right now. Have you
Are you trying to get him on for the Game Club episode?
Maybe.
Oh, like the Game Club episode isn't going to be 6 hours already. Yeah, actually, at one point when we were doing the stream night and had a long segment of Tabletop Simulator, I actually looked at BattleTech as a possibility. No joke.
Nice. I'm sure that
it's possible. It's just cumbersome.
Oh, I'm sure it would be. BattleTech, unless you play like a stripped out version of the game, has got a lot of crap going on it.
That's why I ruled it out, but I was looking at the possibility of playing it.
I'm going to go look right now, just out of curiosity.
No, it's definitely there, or at least it was.
Anyways, so yes, Docile Fossil.
Yeah.
That is the answer to your question.
He is in recovery, and he has talked about returning, but no time frame that I've seen. He hasn't tweeted in quite a while. So I'm assuming that he's mostly in recovery and just spending time with his family. But get well soon, Aki.
Indeed, sir. Indeed.
And we also have a couple tweets. I did cut your tweets out of this. But Kyle said, here is a dumb question that's been bugging me since I played this stupid game in the Surge. You get a mech rig installed over your clothes at the beginning of the game. Are rig users doomed to life of never changing clothes? Do you remember this?
Yeah, I remember this tweet. I don't remember what I said.
Well, I cut it out, but you were pretty much wondering that as well. And Kyle continues on, right? Other workers that have the same jumpsuit on. I guess in the alternate world, I guess the alternative would have you been your character being nude, fighting nude enemies. Nudity-filled rig combat aside, I wonder if Deck 13 has an answer to the clothing conundrum that the rigs propose. Doesn't StarCraft, in the opening of StarCraft 2, the character gets his Space Marine armor put on over a prison jumpsuit?
I don't remember that,
He
but
does.
I do remember from StarCraft lore that a lot of times the Space Marines are just taken straight from prison camps, and that's a way for them to like redeem themselves. I believe that the armor cannot be removed once it's put on.
Without
sure
permission, because it's pretty much welded to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure he at least had pants on.
Yeah, I think the rigs in the Surge are meant to be removed, and you get like the access points installed on your body, and then the rig can be taken off, like at the end of your shift, and then you could change clothes or whatever. But
go to the bathroom occasionally.
Like when he, yeah, but your character when he gets his put on, like the machine malfunctions or something, and so instead of like going through the proper procedure, it just like shoves it all up in him without his permission, and it didn't seem like he was very into it. At least
lube him?
No. I mean, a little bit when his blood came out.
I don't think blood is supposed to be used as a lubricant.
No, but it was in that situation.
Anyway, another tweet from Ghost Shark. Battletech. That's the stuff that's kind of like Voltron minus the cat thing, right?
Sure. I think that tweet had like smiley faces or something in it, right?
Yeah, winky smiley face. I said, no, that's Power Rangers, depending on the season.
That is a true statement, actually. Well done.
And let's see, Kyle once more, VGL community, which whenever he has that phrase, you know shit's about to go down.
Uh-huh.
I would like several opinions on the following. Mel's is hesitant to let me keep my pet naming privileges after watching me name Fowl in Stardew Valley. The names I give birds were Splart, Critchflop, Sploochlet, Looplet, and I'm just butchering these, but Quasolata, and he wants to know if he should keep his privileges.
Yes, with an exception clause to he does not get to name any children you might have.
Well, let's put it this way. The birth certificate would be interesting. No, I didn't know that the character Pa could be used in a name.
having had a kid and have firsthand knowledge to this, the little thing that they give you for his birth or for your child's birth certificate, where you put their name on it and fill it out, has room or has places for special characters.
You should not have told Kyle this. He's going to spend years researching this now. And while Mel's is on, the happy drugs, he's going to have free reign and time to prepare. This is a bad idea.
Yep, they bring that birth certificate form for you to fill out pretty quickly too. It was within like 5 or 6 hours after King was born that we had the certificate to fill out his name. Or the form to fill out his name for the birth certificate.
So the drugs last that long that you got away with King?
No, we had decided that beforehand. I traded a lot of future favors to have my son be named King Arthur, but it was worth it. Totally worth it. Anyways,
I probably don't want to know what would have happened if you had a daughter.
I don't know. We found out that we were having a son, so that's when we really seriously talked about names. But I would have pushed for Guinevere, but Katie didn't like that.
Well, it shortens to Gwen.
It does. But anyways, do we have more tweets?
That is it. So if you wish to contribute, once again, vgopodcast@gmail.com or vgopodcast on the Twitter.
Indeed. So
I'm feeling good for a Discovery Queue. What about you?
Me too.
So theme music?
Yep. Doobly-doo for the Discovery Queue. Which I'm pulling mine up right now.
Well, I got one pretty much instantly, once again.
What'd you get?
Disgreta 5 Complete. JRPG. I'm assuming. I mean, it has the characters as well. A strategy RPG that offers hundreds of hours of over-the-top, award-winning gameplay.
Oh, Disgaea. Yeah.
So I didn't know it was on, but there you go. I've vaguely heard of this series. I'm pretty sure this has been console exclusive for quite a while.
Honestly, I have no idea. I've heard of the game before. I've seen.
Obviously, there's been at least 5 of them.
The older ones. Yeah.
Unless they have the Microsoft train of thought for numbering, but looks like it's more a tactical RPG. Like Final Fantasy Tactics-esque, just based on the screenshots. Not a lot to talk about there, but there you go.
Yep.
Anything for you?
I've gone through so far.
Okay, well, I got another one instantly. This is number 2 on my list. All right.
Well, I'm on number 5 now.
Ghost Control Inc. Ghostbusters, a management Ghostbuster game.
Okay. Sounds interesting.
Where it's a business management Ghostbuster game with some tactical combat as well to capture ghosts. I'm sold.
All right. Here's one.
Looks like, the developer has a little bit of a checkered history, but it doesn't look too bad, at least on the cover. And the fact that, one of the first things they show is a horse-style vehicle, and that's definitely looks to be a proton pack. I'm sold. I do like my Ghostbusters. All right, you're up.
So I've got one. This one is called City State. Looks like inspired by SimCity 2000 city builder that also throws in some government management aspects to it.
All right.
Says that there's political issues and sides to come down to. You have to deal with border control and immigration.
Actually, I don't have a problem with that. You don't see a lot of the political side of these city builders.
Yeah,
and it has
25 forms of government.
Yeah, it has some really mixed reviews though. So
it's interesting though.
I'm skipping over a couple that are kind of meh. Okay. This could be interesting. Granted, well, when I first read the title, it was a little odd, but I think I see it now. Iron Tides. Roguelite Viking Simulator. Yes, please.
I've heard of that somewhere.
It's an early access title. Well, it's on your wish list, so you've heard of it somewhere, definitely.
I think must have heard of it on one of the gaming podcasts I listened to, and I went and found it and added it to my list.
Yeah, light tactics game with some roguelite elements. Looks like it's not just ship-to-ship combat, though, but also some landside combat as well. Not, hugely graphics intensive. It's very simplistic, but it definitely could work if done right.
Yeah. So I've got another one. Spy Party.
Oh, yeah, I've
Spy
seen
Party
that.
looks kind of like the ship in the aspect of
that's actually been
trying to blend in and
that's
do
been
stuff.
a long time in development. It's a 1v1 the ship essentially.
Yeah, one person is the spy trying to blend in and do stuff, and the other person is a counter spy that's got a sniper rifle and one bullet, and you have to figure out who the spy is and kill him.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of streaming on this. It's definitely friendly to streaming, where you have various missions as the spy, and you have to carry them out, but some of them have very obvious tells. So you're having to watch where the spy is looking because you could see the laser. It's very fascinating. Yeah. Granted, I'm not sure if it has a lot of legs for general play. But here is another tactics RPG. Veil Seal Arbitrator's Mark. I literally said mask, but it's Mark. Looks very CRPG-esque. What's again a little bit of Final Fantasy Tactics mixed in. It's not releasing until next year, though. But let's put it this way: similar to the games you played, Xenonauts.
Xenonauts. Yay!
Yeah, definitely a very interesting looking title.
I've got another one. Overcrowd. What's the title? Full title? A Commute 'em Up. This is a possible strategy game where you're designing a like a subway station or a train station. And it looks like you're having to just solve all of the problems. To
so
get
essentially
all of the people through in town. So it's more of a...
Well, I was going to say a subway station designer. It's a city builder for a subway station. Sort of multi-coon-esque.
Yeah.
Interesting. Or there's been a lot of these very small tycoon-esque games where they're based around a very narrow field. Especially airports have been a popular one lately. Which is the same general idea. Moving people through your area as efficiently as possible while still maintaining security or, feeding them or doing whatever. Making them happy. It's the same general idea here. Works out fairly well. Usually. Or it's very interesting. It looks like this is a very flexible game, though, just based on some of the screenshots. It's not releasing until later this year, though. But I got one more. And then that's the end of my queue. Cliff Empire. A nuclear war life on the surface became impossible. After nuclear war, surface life has become impossible. A 300-meter thick radioactive fog covered the Earth. We're looking for bold, active people to manage and process restoring life on Earth. So this is underground city builder. It has a very interesting art style, doesn't it? Very clinical, very clean. There's a lot of whites and grays in it. Well, it doesn't look like it's underground. It it's cliffside. So, Cliff Empire. It's mountaintop. Interesting. Looks like it's fairly highly rated, related to Banished in the Guild. So, Makes me wonder just how micromanaging and how individual the individual units are. You know, if it's more of a smaller population.
Interesting. So I got another one.
Did you do a
Healers?
Did you do a second queue?
No, I'm still in my first
right.
queue. I have one game left after this. I haven't checked it out. So this is Healer's Quest. It is it says it's a comedy RPG where you play as the healer.
I've seen this pop up.
Underappreciated class. And it looks like you don't control anyone except for the healer. But yeah, as per usual, your teammates are a band of inept jerks. This sounds fun and funny. Because I like to play a support class. So, I have been the healer, the underappreciated healer, many times. So I could handle a game about that. And my last game is a big yes for me. Jurassic World Evolution.
Oh, you actually got that.
I mean, there's nothing... Yeah.
Shame.
I mean, there's nothing like...
The fail state is the more interesting part of that, really.
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
You're not supposed to let the raptors out. But it's fun to watch everybody run around.
Oops. Yeah. This is another one that as long as it's not full of garbage bullshit and reviews well, I might pick up brand new this year. Hard to say. It's not as on point for me as BattleTech, but it's being developed by Frontier Developments, the same people who make Elite Dangerous, and they have done really good things with that game, and looks like they're the ones who's publishing it as well. So as long as their contract doesn't stipulate microtransaction bullshit, which isn't in any of their other games, I am more likely to pick this up new as opposed to waiting or never buying it at all. But I'm definitely looking forward to this game, and hopefully it pans out well. Because like I've said before, Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, which was the original Xbox, PlayStation 2, and a very old PC release of the same idea, was a blast to play. And I've played it a ton. So, hopefully it's good. But that is my queue. I had a very unusual good queue with 5 games from a single queue for me.
I skipped a few myself because there was some that were actually very good, but there was a couple re-releases of very old stuff that, whenever they're on Steam, they're a little dodgy.
Yeah.
So I skipped them. But that Ghost Control actually looks very interesting. Assuming that it plays all right. Ghostbusters Management. That's actually something I haven't didn't know I wanted.
Well, you do now. But that is all for our Discovery Queue for this week, which means it's time for the portion of the podcast where I go first, and this is going to be super easy. I played BattleTech a lot last week, and didn't do anything.
Forgone all your obligations, nearly.
All of them. All the fucking obligations. So, maybe I'll get back on track this week, or maybe I'll just play BattleTech every free moment. I definitely will do a better job with the podcast and won't do a bad with the podcast this week. But, yeah. I'd like to record something for BattleTech, but it's so GPU heavy. I could give it a shot.
There's a lot of
how well it would record,
there's a lot of
though.
stutter in it.
Yeah, just naturally. It's got the XCOM problem of, the camera angle's changing, and even if you turn all that stuff down to minimum, it still happens frequently enough that it could cause issues with recording.
Yeah, there's been a couple times that, here, let's give the action shot of this boulder.
These blades of grass, so all you can see is the outline of your mech.
But you could hear the explosions.
Yeah. But if you want to go to my YouTube channel and see if there are new things there this week, you can do so by searching for Gaming Psychologist on the YouTubes. If you want to follow me on Twitter, where I tweet about all sorts of random things, you can do so at JMA4707 on Twitter. If you want to watch me maybe stream games on Twitch, but definitely post games for the stream premiere system, you can do so over at twitch.tv/jarthur4707. If you want to be my friend on Steam and come chat with me about all kinds of things, you can send me a friend request at jarthur4707 on Steam.
And if you wish to let him know exactly what episode of the podcast you're coming from. The password this week is twerp.
Twerp?
Yep, twerp.
Good. That's good.
I thought we needed
like
more lighthearted word this week.
Fair play. What about you, buddy?
Well, for me, I didn't forego all my obligations, so things are actually running normally. SteamWorld Dig is moving along. Things get a little weird this week, though, in it. I think I'm hitting the twist. I think it was the last episode or the upcoming episode, because I'm recorded a little bit ahead naturally. In case, my attention gets diverted somewhere, I have backup episodes all set up and ready to go, unlike some people.
Yeah.
You don't care. You play Battletech.
Battletech. There is nothing. There is only Battletech.
But yeah, I was getting funneled down into what looked to be a point of no return, so we'll see how that goes, but the thing is, I already know how that goes, and shit gets weird. RimWorld defenses are being put to the test by a poison ship, and people get shot. There's a lot of death, a lot of bad timing. Pretty much, normal for RimWorld. And Divinity, I'm still posting my content on it, at least. But I think we're getting to the end of the game, so we're going to have a little powwow to figure out what's next, because we have a few options we've talked about, but it's been a while since we talked about them, and the summer sale is coming up. Yeah. And plus, Stardew Valley just released its multiplayer.
Yeah, I saw that. The
beta.
Isn't it the multiplayer beta? Yeah.
So, that's also an option. If we want another series to last a year and a half.
Yeah. We are right there at the end, though. I had a peek at the Oracle.
Yeah. I looked at our quests that we had remaining, and they pretty much all wrap up in the same place. So we're coming up on the end of where we just throw Medora at something, right?
Yeah. Probably a big dragon.
What do you mean probably? It's almost like definitely a big dragon. I mean, they kept saying void dragon. Unless we got to avoid the dragon. Is that getting old yet?
I don't know. I can't tell.
But you can catch all that, including the Sunday Sampler, which who knows what that will be. And the podcast, of course, on Gaming with Caffeine Rage. Or you can see me tweet. Well, this, I just tweeted out the First of May song by Jonathan Colton. Because it is May Day. And, outdoor fucking starts today.
Oh, yeah.
Gaming with CR. And you probably don't want to follow me now. But if you wish to follow the podcast and what we're doing there, once again, you can contact us, bglpodcast@gmail.com, with your letters, voicemails, gaming-related topics, or drunken letters that you forget to attach the attachment to Kyle, or just tweet them, VGL Podcast. If you wish to help pay for this absolute insanity, you can do so at patreon.com/VGL Podcast, which helps pay for our Podbean account, VGLpodcast.podbean.com, which has our RSS feed and the show notes, which hopefully will have the timestamps this week. Or just find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever Jared has put us in between Battletech loading screens. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground, and our Discovery Key music is Doobly Doo, both by Kevin McLeod. You can find his work at incompetech.com. And
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
Bye-bye. Or now. But anyways, yeah, so I went to go see Avengers Infinity War on Sunday, and sweet baby Jesus, have I never... It's been a long time since I have seen a movie that has made me feel anxiety while I was watching it. Because most movies that you see, you know exactly what's going to happen, or roughly what's going to happen, because movies have become incredibly predictable. You know, there's going to be...
Yeah, they have to play it safe because of the budget, right?
Yeah, they have to play it safe, and most movies, you know, like, in movies, the hero wins. Mm-hmm. The bad guys lose, you know, and there might be, you know, one or two character deaths, or like a couple of unexpected things, but all movies at this point are played safe, and they have to wrap up in a nice little bow. Not Infinity War. The bad guy wins, and literally half of every person in the universe is dead, including like 7 or 8 of Marvel's, like, you know, the main characters from all of these movies they've been doing for the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. They're all dead. And
which ones? I mean, I'm so far behind on the Marvel universe, it doesn't really matter the spoilers for me.
Yeah, there were a couple of characters who didn't show up. Actually, all of the characters from the Ant-Man movie didn't show up, so we don't know about them. But
that was a small part.
Scarlet Witch, Vision, Loki, Groot, Drax, Peter Quill, Gamora, Black Panther. Who else died?
They killed Black Panther right after his movie.
Yeah, they killed him. He's dead.
I mean, to be fair, half of these characters, dead. I don't even know who the hell they are, because I'm that far behind on the universe.
Spider-Man's dead.
Again?
Yeah.
Did he at least not go out like a punk?
Oh, it was real sad. I cried when Spider-Man died. Because, like, in the Marvel version of Spider-Man is actually played by a kid, because, you know, from the 2000 Spider-Man movies, like, even though he was supposed to be a high school kid, mm-hmm. Tobey Maguire was much older, and you could tell that Spider-Man was much older. But the kid who plays Spider-Man now is like 19. So he looks like a kid. And he's got this really odd father-son relationship with Tony. Mm-hmm. And whenever he dies, he's like dying in Tony's arms, and he's like, I feel weird. I don't want to die. I'm sorry. Please don't let me die. But it's like there's nothing that they can do, because Thanos has killed them all with the Infinity Gauntlet. And like, he's crying and Tony's crying, and like I'm sitting there in the theater like crying, and Katie and I are both like holding each other's hands really tightly. And like the whole movie, my anxiety kept rising, because comic books aren't afraid to kill people.
Yeah.
And yes, you can like revive characters or get new versions of characters in comic books. Like, that's been done a million times before. And honestly, I'm pretty positive that it's going to happen here. But still, like, the fact that...
Yeah, but I hope they don't cheese it, you know?
Yeah. But, like, the thing is it's like, I didn't know. Like, I expected there to be a character death or two, but in the first 5 minutes of the movie, Loki gets his neck broken. And Heimdall...
Well, he survived the Hulk smashing him. So, how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, Thanos just, like, snaps his neck like it's a twig. Thanos beats the shit out of the Hulk in the first 30 seconds of the movie.
Damn.
Like, just obliterates him. And for the rest of the movie, like, the Hulk is now scared, because he's never been beaten before. And he doesn't want to come out and fight, and he keeps having, like, these arguments with Bruce Banner. Bruce is like, come on, buddy, I need you. And Hulk's like, no, I'm scared. But it does lead to some cool scenes where that Bruce is fighting in the Hulkbuster armor.
Huh.
But...
Oh, like, that's right, because Tony solved the whole problem with the reactor, right?
Yeah.
And all the suits have the reactors now instead of him powering everything with his chest.
Yeah. And I forgot Doctor Strange, he died too.
Oh, does that mean we're going to get more episodes of Sherlock now?
Maybe. I don't know.
Actually, after the last season, I'm not sure if I want more Sherlock.
But it just... because it was this weird, like, both terrible and perfect sort of ending to the first chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What I think that they're going to do, because this is like part 1, there's 2 parts to this Infinity War thing, mm-hmm. although the second one's not going to be called like Infinity War Part 2, it's got a different like subtitle. But what I think that they're gonna do is because, like, I mean, this is the 10th year of the Marvel franchise, and I think they're gonna use this as an opportunity to get new actors for a lot of the aged characters. Because I mean, you got to think like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. And Chris Hemsworth.
It's going to be hard to replace Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark in Iron Man because he's really reinvented that character.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the comic versions of those main characters now reflect the movie versions.
Yeah, they changed it to reflect him because he became such an icon with it.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think that's what they're going to do, is they're going to use this as an opportunity to kill off those characters and then bring out the next versions of them. Because in the comic books, like, there's been a bunch of different Captain Americas. Technically, Steve Rogers is, like, the Captain America, but there have been a bunch of people who have picked up the Captain America, like, banner, and so I assume they're going to replace him with someone else now.
Well, they could also... I'm not sure if it was comic book canon, but... this ought to show my age. Back in the Spider-Man animated series, they had the Six Forgotten Warriors, which were essentially a subgroup under Captain America that took a flawed version of the super soldier serum that they were trying to recreate after the original was destroyed. And they each had essentially a superpower of some sort, but not as strong as Captain America.
Yeah, that's actually already been done, sort of. They rolled that into the Civil War timeline. There were 6 agents who took the super soldier serum, but instead in that version, like, they tweaked it a little bit and they kind of went crazy. And so they wind up, like, having to be killed.
Yeah, these didn't go crazy. They, but they had a limited amount of power that they had, and over time it was slowly fading. They were able to create rings to essentially turn it on and off to be able to conserve it. But, after all the years, the Spider-Man animated series was in modern times, which was the 90s then. So, World War II to the 90s, they were all very old.
Yeah.
So even then, they were very limited on what they could do. But it was an interesting twist on it, giving Captain America his own team of sort of super soldiers.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a really good movie. Like I said, the fact that they didn't pull any punches, they took chances, they really surprised me. Because like I went into this movie thinking, okay, they're probably gonna kill like Captain America or Tony Stark or like something like that. There'll be a massive tragedy. There'll be a big like punching fight, and then they'll defeat Thanos and use the Infinity Stones to bring back Cap and Tony. And maybe they'll like use that to replace them with new actors or something. Because both of their contracts run out after Infinity War Part 2 or whatever. Mm-hmm. But no, there was very little punching. I mean, there was punching and kicking, but like in all of these superhero movies, they tend to devolve into punching and kicking fights. But no, there are huge battles like where that Doctor Strange is using his magic powers, and you're seeing Spider-Man do stuff that isn't punching and kicking, and like all the superheroes working together, like using their power sets. Thanos uses the Infinity Gauntlet to do some cool stuff. Like he literally throws a moon at Iron Man.
Ow.
Like they almost beat him. Like they almost beat Thanos, but then like there's something that happens and Thanos like is able to come back, and he's all pissed off because they nearly beat him, and he's like, oh, this can't happen. I've got all these Infinity Stones. Like, what the hell? And he just like reaches up into the sky and the clouds part and there's a moon up there, and he like grabs it with magic energy from the Infinity Stones and like pulls it towards the planet. In my head I'm going, he's not going to throw that moon at them, is he? Oh shit, he's throwing that moon at them. I don't know how Tony Stark survives, but like he comes back and he's like, you better watch it. If you throw another moon at me, I might lose it. But it's a great movie. Although I can't imagine anybody going to see this without having seen at least the bulk of the Marvel movies. There's a few that you could skip.
What, about a dozen now?
Oh, it's more than that.
Well, I'm talking about just the core ones. Not additional ones.
They're all... The only character that doesn't show up is Ant-Man. That's the only movie that you could skip And well, I guess you could skip like some of the secondary movies. Like, you could skip everything pre the first Avengers movie, because the first Avengers movie introduces all of your main core cast really well, so you could skip their individual movies.
Mm-hmm.
Although honestly, those are some of the best ones in the series, aside from
which I watched
Ragnarok
the
and...
first Avengers without seeing a couple of the major movies, and I didn't see the first Thor movie until after the first Avengers movie, so the main storyline was a little bit confusing at first.
Yeah.
Because it tied directly into the Thor movie, I believe, or was it the Captain America one, which I also saw afterwards?
It was both. The Tesseract came from the Captain America movie, and then Loki came from the first Thor movie.
All right, I couldn't remember which was which.
But yeah,
I couldn't remember if the Tesseract was in Thor or not, I should say, because obviously Loki is in Thor.
Yeah, you could skip everything pre the first Avengers movie, just because the first Avengers movie does a decent enough job of introducing you to those characters. You could skip Ant-Man, because like I said, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Hank Pym don't show up at all in Infinity War.
Well, maybe
they're doing.
Maybe they play a bigger part in the second half.
Maybe. Honestly, you could skip Black Panther. There's very little of his character in this movie.
Yeah,
so
but also it takes the punch out of his death.
Yeah.
I mean that takes guts to kill him off immediately after introducing him in his own major movie.
Yeah, he was introduced in Civil War, but he only had a little bit of screen time in that. And then yeah, his own major movie, it's still in theaters. Black Panther's still in theaters. But yeah, he dies. He's got, I don't know, 5 minutes of major screen time, and then maybe 20 minutes with other characters and in battle scenes, and then he just dies. He's just one of the ones that fucking dies at the end of the movie. And the ending, God, the ending. Like, Thanos wins, he kills half of everybody, then he, like, warps out. He's like, peace, I'm gone. He disappears, and, like, you get 5 to 10 minutes of everyone, like, realizing, like, holy shit, we just lost. And you get, like, all of these very slow character deaths of everyone as they... Because, like, whenever they get zapped out of existence by the Infinity Gauntlet, they, like, slowly, like, turn to ash and then blow away in the wind.
Well, that explains the meme I've been seeing going around on Twitter.
And you get, like, all of these scenes of everyone, like, reacting to whoever it is, like, Cap and Bucky. Like, you see Cap's reaction to Bucky dying, and you see, I forget whose reaction it is. You get to see to Wanda, Scarlet Witch dying and disappearing. Vision, he got his fucking skull crushed by Thanos, so he was already dead. They could get away with that without it being an R, because Vision is a robot. But yeah, Thanos crushes his skull to get the Infinity Stone out of it, because he is a sentient being, but he's a robot that's been given sentience by one of the Infinity Stones.
So in other words, do not build your creation out of an Infinity Stone if you don't want it crushed by an intergalactic being. Got it.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good idea.
It's like you know, putting the Dragon Ball on top of your son's head. Yeah, it makes him a target or something.
Yeah. But so you get like 5 to 10 minutes of everyone being like, oh shit, we failed, and everyone dying. And then it like cuts to Thanos, and he's sitting on some planet somewhere, just like watching the sunrise, and he's like smiling to himself. Like, I did it. My task is done. And like, it shows, like, it very slowly pans over and zooms in on his smiling face, and then it just cuts to black and starts playing like really somber, sad music. And it says Thanos will return. And then the credits roll. Like, very powerful. Like, it was an extremely powerful ending if you're invested in those characters and, you know, have spent 10 years. Because I went to go see the first Iron Man movie in theaters 10 years ago with my girlfriend at the time. And, like, I don't know, it's just one of those things. Like, I have connected it to various events in my life, because there's always an Avengers movie that comes out around my birthday. And so, like, for the last 10 years, I've been going to see Avengers movies, right? A Marvel movie. For like the last 10 years, I've been going to see Marvel movies with my friends and family and stuff. So like there's some emotional connection there that like helps to build the emotional connection to the characters. And then like the whole movie, like you don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, obviously you kind of do now if you haven't, if you've listened to this and you haven't gone to see the movie, but still, it was intense. It was intense. When we got out, Katie was like, I don't know how I feel about this. She's like, I didn't know I cared this much about these characters until just then. But yeah, I think I've ate up most of the time that I would be talking about games by talking about this, and it'll all be post credits, of course. But yeah, I did it. I did a thing.
Do you think DC is kicking themselves for never really establishing a overarching universe like Marvel has? Because DC has had pretty good to decent individual movies, but they've never been able to tie together the individual universes into a proper Justice League. Yes, I realize they did a Justice League movie, or they are actually. Never really checked up on that. But
it released last year. Okay. It wasn't very good.
I couldn't remember if it released or not because it just didn't make a splash anywhere.
Yeah, it had like a really big opening weekend because, well, big Justice movies like League, that do. Yeah. And then it just died. And it was better than Batman versus Superman, but that's not saying much. Yeah. It was nowhere near as good as Wonder Woman. Honestly, it was about on par with Justice League. It was about on par with Suicide Squad. Which,
considering, only thing I really ever heard about Suicide Squad was how terrible the Joker was in it.
I kind of liked the Joker from Suicide Squad. I mean, it wasn't Heath Ledger's Joker, but I don't think any Joker ever will be.
Yeah, which the Joker is a very fluid character.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a image going around. It was the 60th or 70th anniversary of the creation of the Joker, and it showed all the different iterations of the Joker, just how wildly different they were. From Cesar Romero to Heath Ledger to Jack Nicholson. Just the live action ones, but then you get into the animated series and that sort of thing. I mean, it's just amazing how much they could do with a single character and still have it make sense because of how insane he is and how random he is.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the problem with the Suicide Squad Joker was that Heath Ledger, not even counting his death, or maybe it's adding that impact to it. Heath Ledger's Joker would have been a hard act to follow without that, you know?
Yeah.
Because he was able to pull off a very grungy and realistic Joker.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I am shocked at how well that worked. Because Joker's always been a larger-than-life character, at least as far as I've considered it.
Yeah, I remember when The Dark Knight came out, or was in production, and everyone was like, Heath Ledger is the Joker? What? That'll never work. And it turns out that has been the definitive version of the Joker.
Or at least the live-action one.
Yeah, the on-camera definitive version of the Joker.
I mean, think about this. Heath Ledger has become the definitive live-action, and Mark Hamill is the definitive animated one.
Yeah. Mark Hamill has been in a lot of stuff that I didn't realize that he was in.
Yeah, I mean, he has a very wide voice acting career.
Yeah, he's in... I was watching some Transformers with my kid because that's his favorite thing, and I was like, is that Mark Hamill?
Yeah,
this is like Transformers from like the 90s, and I went and I looked and I was like, oh yeah, that's Mark Hamill.
I mean, hell, he popped up in Avatar: The Last Airbender. And it was one of those things... Mark Hamill? Mark Hamill's like the cartoon Nathan Film. No, not now. I'm blanking on name voice actor that pops up in every video game ever that's AAA.
Nolan North.
Nolan North. Okay, Nolan North. He's a cartoon Nolan North.
Yeah, he's got 311 credits on IMDb. That is Mark Hamill.
But then again, that's more Mark Hamill's a good voice actor and not, Nolan North is, I don't want to say cheap, but, he's well known, and that makes it so that AAA studios is like, we need a voice actor that's actually decent. Let's have Nolan North be Nolan North in this game.
Yeah.
But then again, there's also, Saints Row that makes fun of that.
Speaking of Mark Hamill, did you ever get to see Star Wars: The Last Jedi?
Not yet.
Okay, I've got it on Blu-ray. I'll rip it and make sure and get you a copy.
Yarg. Still haven't actually watched Rogue One, but I have a secondary monitor coming in, so that's going to make being able to watch things while doing other things a lot easier, because right now, if I'm watching a movie, that takes up my computer and I really can't do anything else. And I like multitasking.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why I don't watch a lot of movies.
So Mark Hamill has, in the last 5 years, been in Scooby-Doo. He was in Ben 10, which is a kid, cartoons. Gravity Falls. Adventure Time. What is this? Tasty Time with Frank?
Never heard of it.
Metalocalypse. Okay.
I'm assuming that's Adult Swim.
The Garfield Show.
Wait, there's another Garfield show going on?
Apparently so. And that's been in the last 5 years. Beyond that, there's more Scooby-Doo. I'm skipping lots of things. There's a lot. I'm skipping, obviously, all the Batman stuff.
Yeah, because, we've already covered that.
Yeah. He was on the Cleveland Show?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, what's the Cleveland Show? That was a mistake.
The Boondocks. Afro Samurai.
You were talking about, the bad guys winning. That's part of the reason why I kind of like anime, is that they allow the bad guys to win. Or even have major victories, but, eventually be defeated. One of my favorite animes, and this may be spoiling it a little bit, but not quite, because it's more of a sub-story to a overall. I think it's a 2-season series, but the first half is the end of the first arc. Planetes has the bad guys win at one point. I mean, a major victory. Which, that's a hard sci-fi anime, realistic sci-fi.
Yeah.
Very good show, though. I've covered it on here before, but for those who haven't heard about it, it's essentially about space garbage men who are trying to clean up Earth's orbits after, just decades of space junk is collected.
Yeah.
And one of the major characters is personally affected by space junk killing a significant person in their life, for example. And that's why they're there. It's actually a very touching show about space debris.
Yeah. All right. I think that's enough stuff that's going to go in post-credits. So just to save me from having to do some creative editing or extra recording, goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening if you stuck it out this far.
Yeah, and we're sorry.
Not sorry. All right, buddy. What games have you played this week? We're just gonna hard cut.
Okay,
making some noises and slapping. Does that come through?
Yes. Stop masturbating.
Couldn't resist.
And here I thought you'd go a little bit slower for me.
Oh, by the way, that comment about, I don't know why this suddenly made me think of it. That comment about okay, back to spoilers. I'll create editing. That comment about you being in like the Infinity Stone or whatever. Well, one of the ways that Thanos has to get an Infinity Stone is he has to kill something that he loves. He has to trade the soul of someone he loves for the Soul Stone, which is one of the Infinity Gems. And so he kills his daughter.
Are you sure it's not pronounced the Soul Stone?
Soul. They have Rubber Band Man is in this movie. Which, granted, I know that's not like soul, but like you saying that, just like the way the Rubber Band Man opens.
Oh, so much for having the hard edit that makes it a lot easier for you, huh?